In the month of May, Streaming Things is brought to you by Chester Copperpot, Stanton Valentino, Will Nash, Alan Tomlinson, Wendy O'Loughlin, Jason Hawkins, Matthew Amerson, Trey Barrera, Conrad, Luke and Sarah, David Malfara, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Jose Ruben Cruz Rodriguez, Alexis Adler, Thomas Alexander, Emmy, Joe Velez, Abby Vollmer, Valerie, Aaron Layton, Amanda King, Sun-Loving Mortal, Andrew Gray, Jen Robinson, Kate, Chloe Richardson, Kalisha Reeves, Kiki Newton, Kevin Strothler, Jeanette Murphy, Casey McCain, and Enza.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
My name's Madison.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things covering Yellowjackets again. This time, Season 2, Episode 7, Burial. Is it Burial?
Burial?
Burial. I mean, that's how I would say it in context, but when it's by itself like that, I want to go Burial.
Burial.
Bury me softly, brother.
Burial. There we go. Yeah, we're talking about Burial. I missed you guys.
Missed you. We're a throuple again.
Mm-hmm.
A thruple, as we should be.
Yes.
You started that off like you didn't know what that meant, but then you took it home. A thruple?
Well done.
As we should be.
As we should be. Don't question it.
You gave the vibes of somebody who doesn't want to look uncool and so pretends to know.
I'm hip, fellow youths.
I can validate Steve.
Hello?
Yeah. Steve has the Riz.
He does.
Oh, goddamn right I got the
He
Riz.
does.
Speaking of gotten the Riz, Chris, you're a big dick TikTok star now.
Yeah.
How was your trip, buddy? You were gone last week, hobnobbing with Hollywood legends like, well, Hollywood legend
No knobs
Robert
were
Rodriguez.
Sir. It was really fun. It was really weird. I felt many times like I didn't belong, but everybody was very gracious and kind. I was there with a handful of other, I cringe at this word, but it is the only accurate moniker, influencers.
Contemporaries.
Yeah, like
Content creators.
Yeah, artists, if you will.
Artists.
A couple of like legitimate film journalists were there as well, but Jay Stoops, she's a huge TikTok persona. I got to hang out and meet her. Raiders of the Lost podcast, those guys, the twins.
Cool.
James
They've been
and
on the
Anthony.
show, yeah.
Yeah, the previous guest on the pod. They're so sweet, by the way. I know we know that from hanging out with them on the podcast digitally. Our parasocial relationship was strong, but in person, they are the sweetest. I mean, they saved my life down there. Not literally, but I was like a very out of place. You know, a lot of everyone else had hung out at multiple of these events all over the country quite a few times, right? I was a first timer.
You're a rookie.
I was a rookie because I get invited to like LA a lot, but it's so far. I'm like, nah. Yeah, Allah.
Oh, you're cool.
So I never go. I mean, like, because it was Austin, I was like, it's not that bad. It's a couple hour flight, right? I can make it down there. So anyway, but they were the type of guys to like where I'd be sitting in the lobby. I get up very early. That's just what I do. I don't sleep that much. So I'm up at like 6, chugging coffee and walking around this city I've never been in before by myself. And so by the time like 8:39 rolls around, I'm just like, what do I do now? You know? And they were the type of guys to just constantly be like, hey, man, we're going to go over here. You want to come? You know what I mean? Just like these little gestures of belonging. Yes, I do. You know, thank you.
That's sweet.
Thank you so much.
And I can carry you.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we thank them for taking care of you while you were in Texas.
They did. And Robert Rodriguez is also an incredibly sweet, gracious man. Mm-hmm. I was not aware really fully of what they were asking of me. They just emailed me and said, hey, you want to come to a screening of Hypnotic? You get to interview. They were unclear about who, because they said that Robert Rodriguez would be virtual and that some members of the cast would be there. None of that actually happened. Robert Rodriguez was in there in person and none of the cast was there. So I knew I'd be watching the movie, but I wasn't sure of what else. And what it turned into was getting to do a giant tour of Troublemaker Studios, which is Rodriguez's own personal movie studio in Austin, where he made Sin City and all of the Spy Kids movies and
That's so cool.
Alita Battle Angel, which is a movie I love. I mean, I've been obsessed with Rodriguez since I was a little kid when Desperado came out. I was way too young to be watching that. But Salma Hayek was formative for me in that young age, right? And so it was
Let's unpack that.
We don't need to.
Go on.
But I got to tour. Like they still have, I don't know if you're a huge Alita Battle Angel fans, but
That's a great movie, actually. I like that.
Yeah, they have all of Iron City is still built in the back lot. Like
sweet.
it's practical. So I mean, you walk down like avenues and blocks of it. It's just built back there because something I really didn't know about Rodriguez is he's still like an indie filmmaker at heart. I mean, he's literally an indie filmmaker, but I mean, he does everything as low budget as possible. So even his newest film, Hypnotic, he'll use like a piece of the Alita Battle Angel set, you know, and just film in this apartment over here where they shot Christopher Waltz's character's stuff. And I don't know, it was just, I can't describe as a burgeoning filmmaker myself how cool that was to see. Like he shot pieces of this new movie all over his actual studio, like the break room, the hallways, the offices. Like that's how I would do it, like with Steve in my house, you know, if I was making a movie. Like in one scene, he still had, he was walking us down the hallway to his, like I said, his break room in the studio where they just have like a coffee maker and chips and shit and like one couch. And on the wall was an elevator button that they had like taped to the wall. And I was like, oh, hey. And he's like, yeah, this is where we shot the scene with Ben Affleck coming out of the elevator, but it wasn't a real elevator. It was just this hallway. And I was like, no fucking way. You could just buy an elevator. And he's like, I could, but A, it's more fun this way. And B, you know, his whole career has been based on like saving as much money as possible so that studios won't fuck with him. Like they'll just let me do whatever I want because I'm not really spending that much. And that's just how I like to do it. Like there's a scene in the movie that takes place at the US-Mexican border. It's literally the front of his studio in Austin. Like
awesome.
Under the awning at the front door. He turned it into a border patrol area and was just like he could easily just film at the border. He's that kind of director. Like they would let him do that, but he's like, no, I'll just do it right here in my backyard. You know?
That's the fun thing about movies is like the reality is whatever you put in the frame of your camera. Like literally whatever is beyond that frame could be anything. As long as you make that in between those four sides, that reality true, it could be whatever you want. It's so fun. That's why I like it.
And anywhere you want, clearly.
Yeah.
That's
and
really cool.
he was so, it was formational for me. Like it was just so awesome to talk to him and how supportive he was of even what I'm doing. You know what I mean? He's like, no, like what you're doing is incredible. It's the same thing as like when he took El Mariachi to Sundance in 1992. Nobody else had done that before. You know what I mean? He sold his plasma and stuff, raised $7,000. He shot it himself. He directed it. He wrote it. He edited it. He still edits all of his own movies. He likes doing that.
Wow.
He's the DP on all of his movies. He's the director on all. You know what I mean? He just does everything like he's still just some kid in his backyard. And he's like, if I had fucking YouTube back then, I would have made so many more movies. Like it just wasn't a thing. Like what you're doing is awesome. And he's like, after I did that, and it won Sundance, you know, all of a sudden you had Richard Linklater and Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith and all these people going to festivals, making movies with a few $1,000s. Cause he's like, and he said it, this metaphor, he was like, it's like somebody running the 100-meter dash in less than 5 seconds. Once one person does it, it's like a switch is flipped and all of a sudden 1,000 people can do it because they know it's possible.
Yeah.
And he's like, and so what you guys are doing with your generation, pointing your phone at yourself in your house and getting all these followers and stuff like that's so incredible. It's so great. I think it's the same spirit of what I did. And it just got me really excited, not only for what we're doing right now, but for what we could do. Made me want to make another movie in the future again.
Yeah.
He was just so supportive of that. Like, you guys have so many tools. And he's right. Like, the only reason he had to sell plasma and El Mariachi even cost $7,000 was because film was so expensive back then. You know, he was one of the first filmmakers to adopt digital technology because everybody else kind of fought it. So anyway, I'm just really hyped. I want to make a movie again.
Yeah.
But it was cool to meet. They say never meet your heroes, but he was a super cool guy, super chill. And he gave me a 20-minute interview. I mean, I've done cast and director interviews before, and they're usually like, you got 10, and then once you hop on, they're like, you got 4. We're running late, you know? But he was just like, yeah, we'll just sit here all day.
Yeah, he was so chill. Like, I got to watch the unedited 20 minutes that you shot with him, and it was just really neat to see, A, you interviewing him, but B, also just how, like, hey, friend, come sit with me.
Yeah, he was so warm. And you know how I can tell he's a good dude? Is how his kids looked at him.
Oh, yeah, his kids look at him like I wish.
Like he's a hero.
Yeah, I wish someone would look at me like the way his kids look at him. Because it is there. That is pure love right there.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is, like, I asked him a question about why his kids chose to work on the movies. And, you know, because one Rebel, I think, did the score and the other one co-wrote it, Racer. And because he's got Double R Productions is his studio. And so he named them both RR. That way, when he passes, it still like makes sense, you know. That's my own
he
head
just
canon.
likes the alliteration of,
But I was like, so what if you always planned for them to be in the movie business? And he was like, absolutely not. I actually never wanted them to be in the movie business. I just assumed it was my passion. They wouldn't necessarily adopt it and they could do their own thing. But when they worked on the first movie with me, everything went wrong, like it always does, right? Like the one of the actors didn't show up, one of the sets fell over, and we were behind time, and we realized the way that we wrote the scene wasn't going to work with the set that we had, and so it's chaos as always, right? And I look over at my kids thinking, oh, they're probably going to be fucking miserable. And I could tell they were having the time of their lives. And they came up to me and they were so happy, like, Dad, nothing's working out, but this is great. And he's like, and I realized in that moment that I wasn't teaching them about filmmaking. I was teaching them about life, because life is that way. Like, you make all of your plans, you got everything down to a T, and then you show up. Nothing happens that way. You have to adapt on the spot. And then, in fact, everything that actually happens is better than you could have ever hoped or planned for because you went with it, right? And I just thought that was powerful, because in my own life, like if I had my way, I would be in like Berkeley or something teaching English class right now, which was my intention, or on sabbatical, writing a fucking literary treatise about Ken Kesey. And that didn't work out. And what I'm doing now is so much cooler, and I'm so much happier because everything went wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. I just thought that was powerful. Thought that was cool. Thank you, Robert. But anyway, I had a good time.
Good.
My
Glad you
man.
had a good time.
But I missed you guys.
We missed you too.
Oh, we missed you, buddy.
But I was a little glad I wasn't here.
Yeah, why?
Because I gotta say, I actually was not a fan of episode 6.
Really?
Quite, I wouldn't say at all, but there was a lot of things that I was bothered more than I ever have been in my Yellow Jackets history, because of two distinct reasons that stand out. Because I've had a long time to meditate upon it, right? The whole like Shauna's Sophie Nélisse was fucking incredible. There's no way around that. Did you guys tell the story? I didn't get to listen to like the last 30 minutes of the show about how they had to reshoot that.
We did mention that, yes.
Wild. Because
crazy.
I mean, that's almost like unfair to the actor. Like Sophie, like can you imagine the director being like, Sophie,
hey,
I know you're just now like you stopped crying finally from putting yourself in that mental place. I'm gonna need you to do that again.
I haven't. So when I found that out, when Steve mentioned what you said on the show, and I then saw an interview with Jasmine Savoy Brown, and she even was the one to say that, yeah, we had to go back and reshoot it. I don't know if it was immediately after or a couple of days later, but that's crazy that they had to redo all of that.
Yeah, it reminded me of like one of our sets, you know, when they were just like, the camera wiped, you know, I was like, damn, that shit happens on real stuff. How terrible is that? That's the other side of the digital coin, I guess.
Who would the DIT, right? They definitely messed up the data person.
Oh, you think somebody got fired on that?
Yeah, well, somebody definitely got fired for that. Yeah, if they lost everything.
I just thought maybe it was a malfunction, not that they accidentally deleted it, but maybe you're right.
It could be several things. But for it to be a malfunction would have to be,
I feel like it would almost be immediately caught, and it'd only be like one take versus a whole section of footage just completely.
You think somebody
gone.
tried to play it off?
Definitely.
All right, rehearsal's over.
Great job, everybody. We'll fix it. Whatever happened in post.
Sophie's like taking off her fake belly, like in relief, like, oh gosh.
God, I'm ready. Get this over with.
But I was really, I don't know if hurt's the right word, but you know, the whole thing that they did, when it was fake, right? Like her baby's alive and they filmed like 15 minutes of the episode and then it comes back and the baby's dead. And I was really offended by that because and again, this is just my perception. I feel like they've been kind of doing things like that a little bit all season. And if you do it too much, it's not like a fun trick anymore.
Sure.
It's just you keep lying to us.
It's just an overplayed trope of,
So now if you can just go back and say, just kidding, on something that big, you've kind of lost my trust as an audience member a little bit. And it's kind of like you both graduated from film school. It's like a sophomore year film school thing. Like it was all a dream, you know, like I know in writing, they beat that out of you.
You think we made 20-minute long videos, Chris.
So it was that element of it. Like it was still powerful because of her performance and just the whole, I have kids. So that like the whole weight of it was like, but also Shauna's character, I felt like she wasn't really, She was the least likable that she's ever been.
Adult Shauna?
Adult Shauna.
I agree.
Really pissed me off. And you know how special that character is to me. And I was like, this isn't fun if she sucks, you know?
Well, to me, and I forget if I mentioned this, but I feel like there's a huge separation between young Shauna and adult Shauna in episode 6.
Yeah.
I see a very clear difference between those two characters. So yeah, I agree with you. I think adult Shauna has not been fun to watch recently.
And I think
sorry, Chris.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say the inconsistencies with Wright and Callie that was so prevalent in season 1 and the first half of this season. I feel like that has been transferred onto Shauna between how she was written last episode and then how she's written this episode. There's just I don't know. There's like a weird whiplash effect happening with that family and that character and Callie as well. It's odd.
I'm trying to decipher if it's an intentional thing, if they're trying to make her this unreadable character because she herself is trying to identify these emotions within herself. And we kind of get a little bit of that this episode with a little bit of a deeper emotional connection.
Yeah, I think 7 does some heavy lifting with fixing a lot of my issues with Shauna.
Yeah, but I completely agree that episode 6, everything that adult Shauna was saying, I just was sheer disappointment. I just was like, come on, I'm really rooting for you and you're just letting me down.
Yeah, like she's supposed to be like secretly savvy in these areas. And she was shitting the bed all over the place. In that episode, like just handling the cops, like even Jeff was like he did a spit take, you know, like what? And he's supposed to be a doof, but even he was like, you did what? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like what happened to the fucking call my lawyer cake? I mean, she baked it. And you didn't even ask for a lawyer one time.
Right.
It was just upsetting me.
Well, maybe if Misty used an ice cream cake, the message would have gotten through.
That's true.
Maybe the message would have gotten through.
No Walter. His absence was felt very strongly by me in episode 6. And so just all around, I was like, maybe it's best I'm not
good
there.
news, Chris, because episode 7 fixes that.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, not as much as I would like, but it does.
True.
In a way I would have never expected.
Yeah.
But it was really good to see like the adult gang all together. Like that was an interesting feeling that I was experiencing there at the end. But Lottie's face confused me. She looked very...
That's her face, sir.
She looked
Tell that to Simone Kessel.
She looked very upset or like angry almost. Like
that they're all there.
Yeah. What do we think? And I'm going to try to get through this as quick as I can, but I've got a few thoughts about some things that are either bothering me, A, or B, just like really interesting questions that we still have while watching this, right? Like, for one, what's up with Lottie? Is she leading up to being a villain? Is she like, I feel like she's all over the place. And I know that's intentional because she has like some severe, neuroses, but also maybe supernatural things. And I guess after episode 7, where I'm at with my headcanon is that she got back from Switzerland over a decade ago, which is kind of a running joke that they thought she was still there, but she's been home a long time. But also it leads you to believe like she's kind of not had her issues with the Antler Queen visions for over a decade. But my confusion with her and Taissa is why now? Like the whole running thing of season 2 is we brought it back with us, right? But it's like, but you've been okay for 20 years. You've raised families and like, it's like Taissa's like built a very successful life. What is the catalyst for why it's coming back now? It makes no sense to me yet. And if it has been there the whole time, then how are you able to like cope so well? I need something. I need like this triggered the switch. You touched the talisman again, or you Shakti Dade, or something, Well,
the main reason they all got together to begin with was Jeff was trying to blackmail them and was sending.
So you think it's the proximity to each other that caused these things?
I think so.
It's possible because the spirit wants them to be together at Lottie's place, right?
Yeah, which I also have some theories as to why Lottie, there's the whole subject of them being together and why, they're all being drawn together. It almost, to me, seems as though the wilderness has unfinished business or, something was supposed to happen in the woods and it didn't. And so I think maybe, I don't know if my thoughts are like, that's the foreshadow of what's to come. I don't know, but that's what I'm feeling from all of whatever Lottie has been talking about and the whole idea of all of them together.
Very interesting. Also, something that's bothering me.
What's that? Tell me.
Thais is a fucking senator.
I was thinking of that this episode too. People are like
the government just doesn't care. She's gone.
well, technically,
she has no senator jobs.
Technically, has she been sworn in yet? Or are we still riding through the lame duck session from November to January, or whatever time frame this is? There's usually like a 3-month period where
I want to say she hasn't sworn in yet, because I feel like they wouldn't not just completely throw that obstacle away.
But it's weird that no one's like Senator-elect Thaisa is missing. Her wife is in a coma, and we don't know where their boy is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, we don't know who's taking care of Sammy, and like,
or Steve, the dog.
Yeah.
What happened to Steve the dog?
Oh, well, he's faring a lot better than Biscuit, no matter what.
R.I.P. Biscuit.
Very true.
R.I.P. Biscuit.
And what does the rune mean? Have you seen these trigonometry theories?
Yes, I think we talked about it on the show.
About why the rune might actually be like a trigonometrical map.
Trigonometrical.
It made sense dramaturgically speaking.
I don't know, and to be honest, I haven't really thought about it. I just am like, okay, the symbol exists. I mean, I don't know if we're ever gonna get a breakdown of it. I don't know. You're right. There's still like a lot of stuff we don't know.
Yeah, I feel like me not having watched Lost is leaving me at handicapped for being able to solve this mystery, right? Because I think I don't know what the fucking hatch is. You know what I'm saying, Steve?
What's in that hatch, guys?
I think there's some tunnels down there below this wilderness.
Are you saying that underneath the rune there's just going to be Desmond?
I don't know what that means. Speaking of Lost,
I have no idea what that means.
We dropped a poll for some shows we might cover once Yellow Jackets is over, which will be very soon, sadly. And we thought, because of the writer's strike, to show solidarity with that, but also just because people have a bigger fandom for these shows, we might do something that's already done and run, right? So we put a poll up, and the whole thing with the poll, and I want to reiterate here, is that the winner of the poll does not necessarily dictate what we will cover. It's just so we can put some feelers out. Yeah,
we're just trying to see what people vote for, but also what people get feedback-wise. Like, what are people against? What are people very for? Like, we're just testing the temperature of the waters.
Yeah. So Steve and I both nominated 2 shows, and I chose Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. And Steve chose Lost and Veronica Mars. And we put a poll on Twitter, Instagram,
and the one thing we know
Patreon.
For sure is Veronica Mars will not be one of them.
No. We got very few votes.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad is winning by a nose on Twitter, but Game of Thrones destroyed on Patreon and Instagram. Here's what got, so you would think, okay, Game of Thrones, great. I know Chris loves Game of Thrones. He named his daughter Arya. This will be a great show. However, some of our most ardent supporters are so vehemently against us covering Game of Thrones that it puts me in an awkward position. You know, it's like, oh no. So I think it'll probably be Lost, but we still don't know for sure.
Yeah, this isn't for sure, but the consensus was Lost was always either second place or a very close third, and everyone seems to be like, I really hope Game of Thrones wins, but if Lost wins, that's great. So it seems to be like if there was a ranked choice voting style of votes, Lost would win because Lost has the more favorable. Also, I think Lost lends itself because we're in this Yellow Jackets mode. It makes more sense to go into that, and also it makes sense to cover. We're going to cover Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It just might make more sense to cover Game of Thrones when House of the Dragon is coming soon.
Yeah, so you GOT haters, all you're doing is biding time. No matter what happens. Because winter is fucking coming.
Game of Thrones is inevitable.
For that ass.
And also a lot of people have written in like, hey, you should really do Severance.
We will be.
We will be.
For sure.
When season 2 is announced and we know better when. Because we have to make sure when does it make sense timing wise to do these shows. But we're definitely going to do Severance. We're definitely going to do Game of Thrones. We're probably going to do Lost.
But also, no matter what we do, it'll only be for sure like the first season, right?
Yes.
So like,
I was going to ask, how are you going to do that?
It depends on how it does. Because I mean, like, we could still, we often do 2 to 3 to 4 episodes a week. So it's like, it doesn't mean it's going to be a Lost only podcast from now on. We can still do Ahsoka and Star Wars and all these other movies that come out and all of our like segments that we do. So it'll be fine no matter what. But it's like, if it's really if nobody cares, we're not going to keep doing it. So we'll commit to like a season. But if our numbers are so low that we realize, okay, everybody kind of is not digging this, we can tell by the math. Then we'll just kind of let it die.
Yeah, because there's what 120 something episodes of Lost. We don't want to commit to.
Well, and it was on broadcast television, so there's
20 episodes a season.
Well, that's that, and there's also episodes that have nothing to do.
Yeah,
just filler episodes for TV purposes.
Lola and Paolo episode.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about
Madison?
Lost?
Do you understand that reference?
Just because you've told me about it before.
All right.
Have you ever seen Lost?
I have not. I have not seen Lost, but I have been. My friends who have seen it have talked to me about it, so I know what the whole.
Would you want to watch Lost?
Sure.
Like if you weren't doing anything for the next few months?
Are you asking me to watch?
I'm just saying, what are you doing? By the way, this is a good time to do this. No, this is a good time to do this, right? You guys might know. I don't know if you can see behind me. I can't see my camera feed there.
Here, I'll jump to your camera 1 second.
Yeah, jump to me, bro. So back here, I just gotta get it up. I got a gift in the mail from the Yellow Jackets people.
It's pretty fire.
It is a yellow jacket. I think you remember me talking about this on the show. You
wanted it.
Shameless.
Yeah.
I saw another influencer. He was like, "Oh, I got my jacket. I'm so cool." And I was like, "Holy fucking wait up!" So I emailed Yellow Jackets, and I was like, "Yo, give me one of them jackets." And they did. They gave it to me.
It's pretty sick.
And I don't think I look anywhere near as good in it as you do, Madison. I would like to give it to you. It is yours.
No, Chris.
That's why I asked you to try it on.
No.
It's yours.
No.
Yes. You will appreciate it so much more.
Stop.
That's you.
It's yours.
No.
It's a little too warm out right now.
Stop. Chris.
It's yours.
Chris.
No.
It's yours.
And listeners of the show
I'm
might
gonna
know.
grip it really hard. Unless you want.
You can't. I'm not taking it back.
Chris.
I'm not taking it back.
It's over there on that side of the table. It's gone. It's dead to him.
I have been trying to think of a nickname that I could like call Madison that would show my affection for her, but I can't call her Maddie because she has a friend named Maddie. And so that only leaves Son. You know, it's the other half of her name. But that's weird, you know. But here you go, Son. You know?
Chris. Thank you.
It's been the plan the whole time. For a while. I called Steve a while ago. Like, do you think she would like it? I think she would like it. That's why I was like, do you want to try it on? Because I was like, if it didn't fit, then that'd be an awkward gift. You'd be like, thanks.
This is so sweet. I appreciate it so much.
You are not only an incredible asset to the show, but a really cool person. And I know you love the show, and I know that you're like a thrifty person. And I was like, this is your aesthetic. This is your vibe. And that is a jacket you literally can't get. I mean, you can't get that. You know, that's nobody. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my god, how did you get that?" You'd be like, "None of your business." I'm like, a big deal. It's not a big deal.
I'll say my cool bestie Chris gave it to me for. Oh, Chris, seriously?
Yes.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You deserve it. You earned it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Way to go, Son.
That's my thing.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. That's so sweet.
I wish it wasn't so hot in here. You could wear it, but I don't blame you.
It's hot as hell outside and in here.
Sheesh.
So episode 7, Burial. We'll do what we always do. If you're new to the show and you're still here, fucking wow, that's a miracle. However, what we do is we talk about our overall thoughts, a little bit of thoughts on what we thought in general, and then we'll do a play-by-play, scene-by-scene recap with some ample sidebars. And then we'll get into
sidebars. That's how I like my sidebars. Ample.
We'll get into our choice cuts, aptly named for our top 3 favorite moments of the episode. And then some honeycombs, little Easter eggs, little tidbits that we pulled out, usually like, music's references to the 90s, things like that. And then we'll finally cap it all off with our buzzworthy performance nominations, our favorite performance of the episode. Madison, I think I've got a really good idea what yours is for episode 7. Steve's always a wild card.
You think you know my buzz performance?
I think I do.
Okay.
Is this the episode I nominated Callie?
Yeah. Well, Steve's
for
always
not
like
being in it.
I nominate Biscuit just for.
Well, my favorite is Crystal.
It's Kristen.
You mean Kristen?
Kristen,
thank you.
correct.
You're using her dead name?
Sorry.
Well, a lot of people, I find this funny, and I'm not making fun of you. First off, our listeners are geniuses I saw in the Discord at least, because I don't read a lot of theories. I don't listen to other podcasts. I don't listen to any interviews because I like my dumb thoughts to be pure for the show.
Yeah, unfiltered. Everyone's getting the real deal.
Which is why I think a lot of people write in like, hey, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. But a lot of our listeners predicted what happens to Van in episode 7, what we find out about. Like, at least in the Discord, I saw people theorizing that this was the case for weeks now. So props to you for that. But online on TikTok specifically, because I make Yellow Jackets videos pretty sparingly, but sometimes, and I got thousands of comments about how Crystal's not a real person. I know they think she's a figment of Misty's imagination because no one else in the show has like referenced Crystal specifically. Only Misty has, which is not true.
But they have, yeah.
Right?
I was just, they've referenced her several times.
There was a whole scene of introducing Crystal where she was talking to another person.
I know.
And then Mari going, "Oh no, there's 2 of them now."
Yes.
I mean, that's the one of many, many examples.
I'm begging you to watch the show, guys.
But I don't want to be mean, but I did want to say that was funny. For all of you out there that thought Crystal was a figment. But I don't blame you in a sense either, because there's definitely some fuckery going on.
I know, watch that, that she actually doesn't exist, and then there's going to be a lot of egg on our faces.
Well, like after episode 6, it's like, well, they could do anything unfairly. And there's no rules.
We dreamed up our time in the wilderness.
You're out of your element, Donnie. So the episodes, well, I guess, Madison, your overall thoughts. How do you feel about 7? Episode 7, not the movie by David Fincher, which is great, by the way.
Well, let me start by bringing back my a few words, no context.
Yes.
I didn't do it the past couple episodes because I was gone, and then I forgot.
Fair.
Very good reasons.
But so I have Bruce the goat, because we love Bruce. High calorie butt meat, loved that. And then cold coffin, I think is what the tank that Misty went in, is what they called it. But my overall thoughts is, to be honest, it's not my favorite. I think I would classify it as a slightly above average episode. I felt like it had some really good moments, more emotionally driven than like actiony, like twistery type, and a little bit of a slower pace than I was anticipating. But overall, I enjoyed myself. I thought it was a good episode.
We got 2 episodes left in this season.
I know.
That's another theory, is that episode 10 was like a secret episode that might actually happen. They're saying no, though. They're like, seriously, though, there's only 9.
There's only 9. They wouldn't have had that week break if they're...
Yeah, it's like when you're a kid.
Oh, shoot, we don't have 10 ready. We need a break.
You know how when you're a kid and sometimes your parents would have an extra Christmas present hidden away? Like, all right, that's all it. That's it, everybody. And then like an hour later, they'd be like, oh, what's this? And it'd be like the PlayStation 2. That is really cute, but what parents don't realize is that...
Is that what you got for Christmas last year?
Yes. The Christmas where you don't have one of those, your kids are like, wink, wink, it's all it, though. And they're like...
parents are like,
seriously, it's it.
Seriously,
over.
Seriously, Steve, you're 35.
Buy yourself whatever you want. So hopefully...
What did you guys think?
Steve, what'd you think?
So this episode is like middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, so this episode does feature what is probably, and I think we can all agree, the greatest scene of television ever committed to screen. Mm-hmm. We're all there, right? We are all in agreement on this.
It's top 5.
Yeah. Chris.
I mean, there's like
5.
There's like Viserys coming into the throne room.
Chris, we're at war. Pick a side, my guy.
There's like Ozymandias of Breaking Bad,
No comment on any of this.
So if this show features a scene that has Misty in it, if Van is in it, I'll throw Ty in. If Ty is in it, stellar, amazing. This episode specifically, if it featured Shauna, or if it featured Nat, which was very upsetting. This was a very uneven, whiplashy episode in terms of character writing. I was not feeling I really think they did a poor job with taking those characters where they need to be. I know they sort of retconned something for us with Shauna's character in particular with this episode, and it just felt very forced and like, we know what we did last episode. Let's try to fix that right away. And I just didn't like that. It felt forced. It didn't feel true. And it also just made kind of like Shauna just seem, I don't know, it's very uneven.
Just emotionally unstable.
Yeah. And then the whole stuff with Nat just kind of decided like, oh no, I'm all in now.
Yeah.
I have drank the Kool-Aid.
I was, I mean, I know Madison remembers when I was like, I think Natalie's really digging this therapy secretly. And then
I do remember you
like
saying
a couple weeks later, I apologized to you for apparently no reason because now Natalie's like really into that therapy.
Well, now she is. 2 weeks ago, she wasn't.
She wasn't at the time.
But I see where you're coming from where
Yes.
I think the initial intention was not just there to figure out what happened to Travis. And then that was like resolved ? In a very odd way. Like the whole Lottie, I guess, is true. Like Lottie was there to see him, like assist him not hang himself, I guess. I don't know. And it malfunctioned.
Oh no, the button stopped working.
No, they're stuck. Yeah.
No.
Stepsister.
So, like, are we still to believe that's what happened? And then, you know, does Nat believe that happens? Like, I don't know. There's just some elements where I'm like, okay, are they really believing Lottie's bullshit? Because I still don't know if I do. I
don't think Lottie believes Lottie.
True.
She's very confused.
True.
But Steve, you're right. I mean, there's been a lot of backlash online about the treatment of Natalie specifically in episode 7. Like just like that it felt like a different character completely.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It didn't bother me for some reason, even though that's one of my favorite characters. Because it's mostly young Natalie, you know what I mean? That has always like spoke to me. And like the young storyline in general is where most of my heart lies, if I'm being honest, unless it's like Misty.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know, but I agree with you guys. I think episode 6 was like the only time out of 16 episodes, I guess, where I was like, not having a good time.
Oh no.
But brought it back quickly with 7 is what I feel like. It didn't come all the way back, but it's back. It's on the right track.
That's good.
I'm a little confused though where they're going to go with the next 2 episodes to really like, we have to have multiple deaths, I think, in both timelines in the next 2 episodes. Because like last season,
Well, I mean, the background girls got a lot more dialogue this week, maybe to remind you, hey, these people are here too, so that when we kill them next week,
be sad.
you'll remember that they were there.
Well, I think we often forget, like, there's going to be another summer and supposedly another winter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's still technically a whole other year left of them in the woods. So I don't know how
for like 10 people to die.
Right. Because, you know, we've only seen, the 6 adult women later in life. So, I mean, that's a lot of people that have to perish within the next year in the 90s version.
I would really love it if they just, in the modern day timeline, just introduced another dude, just randomly. Oh,
hey.
Here's Craig. Like, remember that time when we were starving? He's like, yeah, man, sucked.
Yeah.
Hated it. I'm so glad we made it home. Oh my God, Misty's here? Girl.
So glad you brought a ball boy on that trip. I think I like the theory that what they're going to do with the Queen of Hearts card, you know how they like draw cards for their chores?
Yeah.
Is that eventually the Queen of Hearts with the eyes scratched out means we're going to eat you.
Essentially,
and so
it's
when
like,
you get that card, you're like, you feed the group.
it's like the black spot from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes. I've got the spot. And so like that might be a way that
Do you fear death, Lottie?
was that your Jeffrey Rush?
No, yeah. No, that was the tentacle face man.
Eat a
Davy
whole
Jones.
bushel of apples.
Bill
fear
Nye?
death?
Is that?
Bill
Is that
Nye,
him?
yeah.
Bill Nye?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it might democratize being eaten or something. Like it'll be more fair. Like so they can be like, it's fair.
Leave
Vote
it
or
up to
die.
fate.
Yeah. But we'll get there.
Vote or die.
So the episode opens in 1996 and we get some establishing shots of
Beautiful aerial shots.
blizzarding,
Yes.
I would say.
Beautiful. I thought they were pretty.
Not good for the like...
No, not good for the situation, but
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If you were just visiting, you'd be like, wow. And I know it's a honeycomb, but I can't not mention the fact that it was Nirvana, Something in the Way,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Whenever you throw something in the way as a needle drop in any movie,
Which is a lot recently.
it's like as soon as you hear that dong, that first like
Yes.
guitar, you're like, I'm in. I love this.
This is the
song
unplugged
so
version,
much.
right?
I love it. No, maybe.
I think it is, but I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, I'll look that up.
It was used to great effect in The Batman. But I love that song. I adore it. It is a vibe. It
is a vibe.
So all of the girls are in mourning, over the baby. And so they're all just sitting, staring around. Taissa tries to get Shauna to drink some water, to get a little self-care in. She refuses. And Lottie notices that the snow has finally stopped. So they've been in, the shit bucket is overflowing.
Did you hear the one person when Lottie's like, it stopped snowing and they open the door, there's somebody in the background that goes, somebody grab the bucket.
Yeah.
Like, that's first order of business. Get that out of here.
Yeah, they pry open like the snowbound door, and Taissa again tries to get Shauna to get some fresh air, to prod her into doing something positive for herself. Shauna is having severe, I don't know if you'd call it, is it postpartum at this? I mean, if the baby's...
her body's probably hurting. She's cuddling the dead baby, which is really sad in itself. I'm
Super
sure
sad.
she had that vision. I think she's just trying to dissect a lot.
Yes.
But Ty seems kind of frustrated by Shauna, which I can relate with Ty being frustrated.
Emotions are high.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own shit going on.
Well, everybody's been in this cabin for a minute.
And they're hangry. We stress that enough.
And the bucket has been full.
Yeah. I remember, so I forget who opened the door. I think it was Javi or Travis, but Mari's just like standing there and you just see her sigh of relief, like inhaling the fresh air.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't smell like dank people.
It doesn't smell like doo-doo in here. Finally.
Coach balls just wafting. I can imagine. So they begin digging their little area out. Immediately, everybody sets to work because they got to get the fire pit dug out. They using like bowls and all, whatever they have at hand, pea buckets, everything to dig snow out, get back to business, right? And then Shauna ventures out alone with her dead baby into the wilderness, and she builds a cairn. Is that how you pronounce that? A cairn?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
A rock grave, if you will.
Yeah.
And says, it's just me and you against the world yet again to her deceased child there.
Very sad.
Which I thought was cool for her character because it kind of lends itself to what we find out about Shauna later.
Yeah.
That she still kind of mentally believes it's her and her baby who's no longer existing against the world. So she was never able to fully attach herself to any other humans.
Yeah.
But back in 2021, Misty is helping everyone rid themselves of their possessions. Misty, I guess reminds me of me. I hate to say that out loud, but like I buy
in this moment.
I buy in fully. Once I'm very resistant to a lot of things, but once I buy in, I am always front of the class.
Fully in.
Yes. And so that's Misty to a T. Like she's like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. I'm in. Everybody give me your phones. Right. And so I just thought it was nice. And then I think it's Natalie that says we brought some really dark shit back with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's start dealing with it.
Kind of is talking about how grateful, because a lot of them are skeptical of,
especially Van.
Van and Ty specifically is like, oh, so you both joined a cult? And then
Intentional living community.
Yeah, and Nat is very
and then Van says, so what is the intention? Like
Right.
Lauren Ambrose is crushing it in this episode.
dude, I love her. But yeah, Nat is like defending her experience and saying, she's very grateful for, what she's been doing here. And then Misty's obviously, as you said, all in. So
It's great, guys.
Yeah. So.
But we zoom in on Lottie's face again, and she's very upset again. She's just not, she doesn't like, my take is that she's very concerned for the other women, right? Because she's the only one that knows how exacerbated her shit has gotten again. And she thinks it's the force that is bringing them all. Sorry, Steve, I know you just got PTSD with Star Wars. That is bringing them together.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
And so she's concerned for them. I think that's why her face looks that way.
Yeah.
Because I think you could read it like she has some sort of animosity against them, but that's not how I read it.
No, I think you're right. Like she knows that, and she even says it later in the episode, like having them together is amplifying the connection that she has to whatever spirit, wilderness force that it is. And she's scared of becoming what she used to be because people died last time.
Yeah.
We ate them.
People got hurt.
What about second breakfast? And then we go back to 1996, and Van is trying to talk sense into Taissa because Taissa's like really down on herself, right? And she's like, hey, you're cool.
I do thought it was interesting that Van was like, I should have died a lot. Because she almost died in the fire in the very first episode. She was mauled by wolves later on. Plus all the other starvation stuff that they're going through. Van's like, I should be dead by now, but I'm not. And I thought it was for a reason. And now she doesn't feel like that's the case. Like the baby dying really did a number on everybody. And this is the way that it's manifesting in Van.
I also thought that was really meta because they had originally written for Van's character to die in season 1.
Correct.
And so I think that was a little tongue in cheek, but also maybe the actress ad-libbed that. Like, where are we going with this season? You know, I was supposed to die and I just feel like I should have a purpose. No, but I do think that was the writers kind of chuckling a little bit.
Yeah. But also I think it's to show, you know, not just Shauna is dealing with the death of this child. You know, Shauna was the one that went through this terrible, awful experience. But I mean, everybody was there to, witness one of their friends go through a very traumatic experience. And, you know, the idea of childbirth is very exciting. And even in the circumstances, they did their best to try and keep the child alive. And it just didn't happen.
Speaking as somebody who's only ever witnessed childbirth, it's a lot, even for bystanders. However, can't imagine what it's like, you know, in the hot seat, if you will. You can't phone a friend.
No. No.
There's no lifelines.
Can you ask the audience?
Can you imagine giving birth with Regis Phillips?
Well,
just staring.
All right, let's get the doctor in here. Shauna, would you like to phone a friend?
It is really painful.
Let's play Who Wants to Have a Baby in the Woods?
Terrible.
I wouldn't want it.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary enough in a hospital. I can't imagine. And they're kids, right? I can't stress that enough. But yeah, Van's like, I don't know why I'm alive. All this shit should have killed me. So they have a tender moment where it's like, I need you too. But also Van's like, but
and I
still want a purpose.
I saw this. Yeah. And I was like, okay, are we gearing up for Van to be this sacrificial lamb? Because, you know, she needs a purpose. You know, is she going to be this hero that comes and, you know, I don't know, because her her character.
Whoa,
her cancer.
Spoiler.
She is more than her diagnosis, Madison.
That reminded me of Austin Powers, or I think where he's like, moly.
But so we know her character has a very serious disease that will eventually kill her adult self. So it's like, will something get to her first? You know, that's what was going through my mind after young Van said this. And so it leaves the door open for just like, what does that mean? What did her saying that mean?
Hopefully nothing bad.
Hopefully nothing bad.
Because we love Lauren Ambrose.
We do.
Back in 2021, Lottie lets each of them choose a modality of treatment. Like, she's got little cute names for them. Van tries to leave, like right off rip, like, okay,
I'm out.
I was dropping Ty off.
You're offering me treatments on a charcuterie board. Get me out of here.
Then Ty chooses renewal.
Yeah.
Shauna chooses self-care. Van chooses forage, and Misty gets stuck with guidance.
Misty tried to get forage though, as well, right?
I don't remember that.
Like they both kind of said forage, but like Van kind of said it a little sooner.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand why Lottie's like, no, everyone can only do separate things.
Yeah, I'm out of forage. Sorry.
We're fresh out of forage. We only have the one. I don't even know what Van was supposed to do. She just went and got tequila. We only have the one bottle of tequila.
Low maintenance one. Well, I guess they only have so many baby goats.
That's true.
So many kids. But guidance is Lottie's favorite anyway, supposedly, right? With the float tank. And so, yeah, it's a really funny exchange where they all kind of like they're buying in on different levels and kind of taking shots at Misty occasionally too. And like having them all together again is really fun as the viewer. And Shauna's self-care, we find out, is caring for the goat, Bruce. And
she's so confused.
The one thing I love about this show is not scared of introducing a pet, immediately naming it, because I love that shit. I eat that shit up all day. We have Biscuit. We had Biscuit. We have Steve. We have Caligula. We have Nugget.
Yeah.
We got Bruce. Give me all the pets and their names. I want to know them. I don't know the background girl, the Yellow Jackets in the cabin. No. I don't give a fuck about their names.
Who cares?
What is that mouse's name in Akila's pocket? Oh, it's Nugget. A+.
But Shauna's convinced immediately that she's going to have to slit its throat.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because that's a Game of Thrones thing. As I recall from the books, it might be in the shows too, but the Unsullied are each given a puppy that they have to raise.
That's a Nazi thing.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, Nazis would do that with puppies, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know my Nazi lore.
It's like messed up though that that's Shauna's headspace.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a self-care facility. you're going to have to kill this baby
have to
goat.
kill the goat.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by adult goats. So I don't know. I think that speaks to her mind and how twisted she is as a person, that is just where her mind went to.
Yeah.
I also love that it's a funny scene, but in the scene prior, like Shauna's buy-in specifically kind of ramps up really quickly. Like when they're taking her phone, she's like, no, absolutely not, right? Yeah. And then Misty's like, but phones make us a slave to other people's priorities or whatever the phrase is. And Shauna's like, you can't really argue with that. And Misty's like, right? It's really good.
Yeah.
And it is like a fire-ass line, you know?
Yeah.
We don't want to be captive to other people's priorities.
Captive. There we go. That's a much better word. And back in 1996, Coach Scott is fucking losing it, right? Like he is another Paul. It's not even a memory. It's like a vision, right? And I think how many of these have actually even occurred, I think is up for debate. But we get like a visual indication that he's not in reality anymore when we have that like TV static flicker.
VHS.
Yeah. So he's back in the cabin. In my notes, I called it a vision/memory because now I'm thinking.
A vision.
There you go. Sure.
I called it a hallucination.
That's accurate.
A visionary.
It appears to be the malignant spirit, like trying to get him to do naughty things. You know what I mean?
Hey, Paul. That's cool. Pretend it's someone cool on the phone. We're gonna kill Ben. All right?
Yeah.
Don't say it to him. God, Paul, you suck.
Yes.
You're ruining my plan.
Killer. I don't want to say that in the microphone. But that's what the thing was saying. And so basically he becomes, and I put in my notes, is the spirit talking to him? Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's going on, right? Like you were never meant to be here forever. This isn't your hiding place, right? And I love how it's done because it does kind of fit in the context of what we think are his memories of Paul. Like you can't just hide in the apartment. You have to be gay. You have to be out in the world. You can't just hide here. So I can, in my mind, I could see real Paul having said that in a completely different context, but I could also see the spirit making him say that and saying you need to end your life here now, right? And so the whole build up for Ben this season seems to have led to this at this point. I'm buying it. I'm in, right? He goes outside and he screams Paul at the girls and all the other girls are like, Coach?
Yeah.
Who's Paul? And he's like,
it's me, Paul, the bald guy. That's the bald boy that's been here the whole time, guys. You'll see me in the main timeline of season 3.
We need another character. And then, he's like, I'm going to be fine because he's now resolutely in the space where he's going to take his own life. And back in 2021.
Well, real quick. So after he walks outside, there were antlers framed behind his head.
Yeah, a lot of people have been writing in about how Coach Ben has been framed with the antlers the last couple episodes.
Maybe it's just a visual cue, not for who the antler queen is, but
who's being affected by the spirit at that moment in time.
Who's being antler queened, if you will.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting to know because it was the first time that I had seen it framed on him. But it sounds like it's been framed before. Yeah,
it's been in the last couple episodes. Like when they were doing the charades, there's antler frames on the fireplace that he's kind of in front of and stuff like that.
It's pronounced charade.
Charade, sorry. Charade.
Charade.
Back in 2021, Misty is supposed to do a float tank exercise, right? The deprivation chamber. And she's instructed by Lisa on how to do it, but she's like, hey, I got to pee first. She's obviously very scared. And this is the first time we've seen Misty kind of...
Lisa shouldn't fall for that shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, it's a Nina, right?
Right. Lisa knows what's up. I like that girl. She knows that a Nina is the perfect way to get your sensory deprivation on. And as we know, I do LSD and get that shit done every night. Mm-hmm. It's me, Dr. Brenner. Hello.
Yes.
This is my favorite TV show. Children fight each other and there's a Nina?
That's amazing.
Whoa.
It's written almost by you, I would think.
Oh my gosh. Put Paul Reiser in a diner and I'm in.
Yeah. There's time.
There's still time.
He could be the last kid on the island.
There's still
I'm
time.
Paul Reiser. That's Paul.
That's Paul.
Oh, it was Paul Reiser. Oh my God. But there's no TVs in this, Nina. It's just water.
Well, you know what the good thing about this water coffin is the soul holds the wisdom of the ages. And authentic guidance comes from within, and you only get that with some LSD and a float tank.
Mm-hmm. Try before you deny.
That's what I do with the kids at Hawkins. I shoot them up and I stuff them in.
We've seen it.
Give me powers.
Yeah. We'll get back to bleeding out in the desert.
All right. Zoom call ending.
So Misty sneaks out. Nice Zoom ending noise. Misty sneaks out, and then we cut briefly back to young Misty, I think, and she hears the girls talking about her. I think it's Mari and Akila.
And Jen.
And Jen.
Whoever that
with
is.
a G. It's Jen with a G. Jen has brown hair. She's the brunette.
Who are the girls I don't know? It's Jen and Melissa, right? But there's
Jen,
more.
Melissa, and then there's one other one.
Melissa is the blonde with
Yes,
the
with the
backwards
hat.
cap.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Jen. And to be completely honest, I don't know if there's anybody else.
They just kind of randomly
there's
show
one
people, I
other
feel like.
girl. I think there's one because I looked it up today. Here, I'll find it.
Paula,
Hold on, I have the pictures pulled up.
Abdul.
So we've met Melissa, we've met Jen.
Paula Abdul. You dummy.
It looks like there's 2 other women. I'm looking at the photo from the
The one you made
Ooh,
with your
excuse
color
me.
coding and stuff.
I don't know, can you see it?
I can see it. I don't care about anyone else. Okay.
I can't really see it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you'll check it later on the footage.
Yeah, I'll check it on the flip.
Yeah, pause and zoom in.
But they're talking shit. And at first, Misty smiles because they're saying, you know, oh, she's so cool. So good. I mean, she really kept her shit together, right?
Yeah.
But then it takes a dark turn when they're like, hey, I'm pretty sure she did something to Crystal. She's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it's Mari. Like, I don't have any evidence to back this up other than Misty gives me a weird vibe, but I bet she killed and probably ate Crystal without us.
Misty is totally going to kill Mari. She's going to have to. And at this point,
I definitely
I
think
hope so.
at this point, I'm on Team Misty with that.
Yeah.
I think either to your theory about the queens like drawing, I think it'll come to fruition with Mari. Like if that was, I think Mari is pit girl. That is, I hold true to that. I think
Yeah.
Mari is pit girl.
And we're going to relish in that reenact. Get her!
Yeah. Chase her down.
She's so negative.
You bitch. I'm gonna get you.
I'm going to get you.
And then we see Coach Scott shaving.
Yeah.
And he's doing, well, I think it's like ritualistic.
He's
right?
doing a Luke Wilson from the Royal Tenenbaums right now, where he's shaving off his beard, playing some Elliott Smith. You know, he knows what he's doing later in the day.
Well, I mean, that's a thing. I mean, people that have decided to end their life are often like, they'll take a shower or like a long hot bath with a bath bomb and do a lot of self-care things and just kind of resolutely march toward what they're about to do. And then Misty pulls the old, we need to look for Crystal. I didn't just hear anyone saying I should be saying that at all. I'm worried about her. She could still be alive now that the snow's gone. And Ben,
How fucked up
backs
is
her
it,
up.
though? I'm just saying, I just want to say, how fucked up is it, though, that Mari's like, why isn't Misty want to find her friend? She's your friend too, you hoe bag.
Right.
Is she though?
That's true. No one likes Mari.
They're the JV, so who cares?
Yeah, JV. It's a whole thing. And all of the, I put all the rando girls discuss the spirit. Because it was like Steve said, it was specifically all of the characters we haven't spent any time with, like having a conversation with each other. Like, we're here too. And they're discussing the evil spirit and how,
They took Crystal, or the wilderness took Crystal and the baby, and like how, and that's what made the snow stop.
Yes.
And Lottie's like, that's not how it works.
No, I know a lot about how it works, even though I don't. That's why they call me Lottie. That's how much I know.
You know a Lottie.
Lottie, yaddy, yaddy, yaddy. But she's like, yeah, it's not transactional, right?
Yeah.
And so then she suggests they ask the wilderness for Crystal. And maybe she's right, because maybe the wilderness delivered. Yeah. So they start to ask, I'm the wilderness and the wilderness is me, or whatever the fuck they say.
We hear the wilderness and it hears us.
Yeah.
I think that's what they say.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Shakti Day. And the search party sets out. And then some of the girls, it's the rando girls again, I think, Jen and Melissa discuss eating Crystal.
Yeah.
In a really funny, but I hope she's okay though. Oh,
Right.
same.
Yeah.
But if she isn't, I mean, we could totally eat her.
And Misty overhears that.
She does.
Yeah.
She gets upset. Like, you're not going to eat my friend.
You're gonna eat Kristen.
And we cut to Van and Shauna cleaning the birthing bed. And Shauna gets really upset and throws the bloody blanket into the fire. And then she has memories of the baby eating vision that she had. The crystal search commences and Lottie approaches the altar is what I've been calling it. But it's like that little stump chair. where we know the queen will sit at some point. What are those hanging jars I've never noticed before?
I think they're remnants from Doomcoming.
Okay, just some decorations hanging up still.
I was waiting for it. I was ready.
And Lottie asks Thaisa to find Crystal.
A sleepy time Ty found Javi, not normal Ty.
Yeah, she thinks
The other one.
dark Thaisa, like the sleepy time Ty, can find her because she knew where Javi was, right? And then she tells her she's not gone, and that's a good thing, Ty. Which is, again, kind of weird.
Yeah. Also, very, very uncomfortable. I just was like, clearly Ty does not want this other entity. And Lottie's like, no, it's still there. It's still there. It's just chilling.
It's good.
Just
We like
chilling.
her.
Yeah.
She's actually,
She's honestly
She's a
kind
hoot.
of,
I didn't want to say this. I like her more than you. She likes to party.
yeah.
You, super lame.
Yeah.
What if she was just super fun? And like with like a deep demon voice, but like,
Get up,
"What's
bitches,
up,
we're
girl?"
finding Javi.
Well, to our knowledge, I mean,
I found some weed.
the other Ty, the other Ty is who ate Jackie. So
You guys want to light up a chain?
But like super chill other than the voice, you know?
right,
She like has that very serious look that she always has, but she's just kind of like, I got Parcheesi.
Dang.
You guys want in?
Straight to bar cheesy.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite game.
It's gonna be a big night.
Weed and bar cheesy.
Which, speaking of Javi,
Don't.
what?
Just
Okay, I just had.
No.
I don't understand.
I was kidding. I need to know.
No, I just. What the fuck happened to him? I have no idea.
He doesn't talk, so what are they going to do?
I know.
Can't
I
give
guess
him any
that's
lines.
true.
they were,
He's weirdly tall for his character now that it's been years, and that's why you don't cast a child actor for something that doesn't have
I think
much
they're just
time
trying to
passing.
show us as little of him as possible until they get to the point where it's like, yeah, he's tall. They've been in the wilderness for like a year.
Yeah.
He had a growth spurt.
Duh.
I just was like, they made such a big deal about it. Then he came back, and then we just have never revisited that conversation.
Javi.
Javi, dude, like, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to.
I've got the best of both worlds right now. My brother's alive, but he's not present.
Yeah.
And I can still hang out with these babes.
Yeah, I think they've got an awkward position right now where it's like they made the first half of season 2 so Natalie, Travis, Javi heavy that it's kind of weird. Like I miss them, not Travis so much, but I miss Natalie.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Like there's no hunting, there's no hunger talk. It's all, I don't know, man. Hopefully
Taking a break. I'm
Yeah.
tired of hunting all the time.
we'll just eat each other.
So
I eat ass.
So much
we
easier.
could do that. I eat ass.
Was that not relevant?
Oh, I meant
Eat
like back
Jackie's
home.
ass. Oh, eat Jackie's ass.
What's that high calorie butt meat? Is that?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
high calorie butt meat. Yep.
I'll tell you,
Coach is packing.
it's thick.
Packing a thick one.
Back in 2020.
Hello?
In the back. In the back.
Hello?
Jeez.
Back in 2021, Thaisa's painting. That's apparently what her therapy is, but it's like a tiny little makeup brush for the entire cabin.
I cackled so hard.
And she is not having it.
It says fuck. She wrote fuck on with the paint.
Like, this sucks. And then she tells Lottie she's sleepwalking again. And Lottie, adult Lottie, kind of echoes young Lottie's advice about the creature or whatever you want to call it. And asks her to accept it, which is really at odds with how she feels about her own like version of the darkness. So I guess they're just saying she's a hypocrite. But and then Misty approaches Shauna, who has lost the goat. She's just like sitting in the woods and she's like, oh, my goat's over. Oh, shit.
I tied it up 5 feet in front of me in
Yeah,
my
how'd you
direct
not
eyesight.
notice?
Oh, fuck, it's gone. Bruce.
Oh,
Not Bruce.
So Misty tries to help Shauna find it.
Yes.
And Misty has been collecting food.
Yes. In case they try to enforce a calorie restriction.
Her blood sugar cannot handle that.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny.
And then she says you got all stabby with your arty farty lover, right? And then I love the best line in the whole history of the world. It's not a criticism. She stabbed him. That's not a criticism.
No, no.
Just to stab somebody every now and then. You got to do that, right?
I'm just joshing you.
So they kind of have like this, they have words in a way that you've never seen Misty have before, right? She's like, I think the most hurt, like there was definitely contention with Walter and she's been offended by Natalie before, but in like a comical way. Whereas here, she like really stands up for herself in a way you don't often see. without her murdering you. I just thought that was interesting. You're innocent, but then Shauna claps back in a way that, like, again, I'm on team Misty here. Like Shauna's just not been that likable for the last couple of episodes. But
no, I agree. I mean,
oh, nobody's saying that, Misty. I'm like, you definitely were, bitch.
Right.
You're coming at my girl right now.
Yeah.
Right.
She offered you a power bar, and that's how you thank her. She helped you bury a body, and that's how she's helping you find Bruce.
Yeah, and you totally lost Bruce, which is unacceptable.
Literally, you sat by a tree, and Bruce was in front of you, and you were just like, oh, he's gone.
But I do love when Shauna finds Bruce. She like scoops him up, and you could tell, like,
Hey,
in
dummy.
spite of herself, she loves him, right? Like,
Yeah.
you idiot.
That's what happens when you name him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every time. And then they finally, at that moment, find Misty. Like, hey, you're supposed to be in the tank, right? And so she goes. But back in 1996,
I love the excuse she gave. She was like, "Oh, I couldn't figure out the door," like, or something like that.
That's why she was in the
That's why
woods.
she was in the woods, not in the building she's supposed to be in.
she had to think of something with the quickness.
I love her.
There's more fake crystal searching, right, from Misty and company. Misty's really hamming it up. Crystal! Oh no, she's probably out there with like a little song frozen in her throat. So she lies to them and like acts like she can't bear to see the dead body. And the girls are like, I don't know if they're unconvinced or just don't give a shit if Misty's around. They're like, okay, then
Oh,
go
I think
back.
Akila like is having empathy with her friends,
Yeah.
right? And so, because Akila's like, okay, we totally get it, go. But Maury's being a total douche about it, because even when she leaves, Maury's yelling for Crystal, like, Crystal,
like, ironically, yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal,
Girl, where are you? Oh no, you died. Wah.
I hope we find you.
Only to eat you.
But Misty just wants to dip out so that she can find the body so that they won't eat it.
Yeah. Which is, I love that little wrinkle that they add onto it, where she's not finding the body to hide it from her friends because she doesn't want them to find out she killed her or anything. She doesn't want them to eat her friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's it's a subtle but important distinction.
It is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because this scene and the one with Ben. So as much as I don't like what they're doing with Shauna, they're like rolling back how much I like Shauna. They are exponentially increasing how much I already loved Misty, because they're making me feel better, or rather, they're making me feel better for the amount of love I have for Misty. Because
Your love should never have been in question,
she's
sir.
clearly not like a sociopath, right? And they even asked that question blatantly in this episode with her whole tank shit, right? Like, am I a murderer or somebody who's just like extremely desirous of love, right? And Caligula probably expresses a little too much suggestion for the one than the other, but I like that they're doubling down. Like, Misty has feelings. She cares about people. She's a little cray. That's all.
She's a lot.
Because I think in season 1 you could have made the case that she just has no emotion about shit whatsoever.
Oh, because she was
Yeah.
torturing seniors in season 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
was pretty
Coach
rough.
Ben and
Yeah.
her younger self.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair,
And Jessica.
and Jessica,
But we were here for it.
we were here for it. Full support. We support you, Queen.
Yeah. So, but she storms off. I'm not going to let them eat you, Kristen. And outside, we cut to Ben briefly. He falls in the snow. He's on a mission. He stands up, shakes himself off. He does this little Taylor Swift impersonation, and shake it off, Madison, in case you didn't get it.
No, I got it. Well done. Good job.
And he trudges on, and then Shauna goes into the old meat shack. And
Meat Shack, baby.
she tries to talk to Jackie. Jackie, I need you. And it's a heartbreaking scene, right? She
Yeah.
starts weeping. I need you. Jackie does not respond.
It'd be
And
great if her tummy started talking to her.
like literally.
Hey, bitch.
Hey, I'm in here.
I'm in here now, remember?
And it's like, I think we heard Ella Purnell as Jackie saying Shauna's name in episode 6, right?
I think so, yeah.
Some sound design at the end there. But in 2021, Shauna asks Todd, the guy who gave her the fucking goat, Bruce, to help with the goat because she thinks the goat ate some rope. And I don't know if that's okay. And you took my phone, so I can't
The
Google
goat
it.
Bruce.
Yeah, Goat Bruce, not Batman. Just want to be clear. And he says the kid's care is entwined with your own. And it might have been on the nose for you, but I liked it that she's like, what? Because she was thinking about Callie initially, or maybe the baby.
Yeah.
She's like kind of taken aback that he used the word kid. And he's like, goat, kid. That's the word for a baby goat, right? She's like, oh, yeah.
I love what she says at this because she's like, look, I don't want this goat to die. I'm trying to take care of it, but I don't know if rope is good for it or not. idiots took my phone. I can't research. Like, I'm not going to let this go. Like, I love that she said that because one of my biggest pet peeves, you usually see it in the real world when people are like, oh, my kid is deathly sick. I won't take them to the hospital because it's in whatever deity's hands. It's like, you have agency.
Right.
The deity gave you a hospital. Go take them there. Like, and so I love that she brought that. Like, that's a good point. Like, you took my phone. I am trying to take care of it in my way, and you're not letting me take care of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like can it eat? Well, I think goats can eat like crazy shit, right?
Right.
What do we know about goats?
Tin cans, eat cans all the time.
Yeah, like they literally can eat like.
They eat a lot of random shit, I think.
Yeah, like
I think
famous.
I think that's the cartoon shit that she was saying. Because in cartoons, they were always eating tin cans and stuff.
Ah, maybe we have the same goat education, Shauna and I, and mine is inferior. I'm going with it. I think it's fine, Shauna.
If only we had our phones with us, we could have figured it out.
Eat some more.
But Todd is no help.
No, Todd refuses to help, but she sees Lottie walk by and she's like, I'm gonna go talk to your fucking boss. And she starts crying to Lottie, like, hey, please don't make me kill the goat. And Lottie's like, you're not gonna kill the goat? What the fuck?
You don't gotta kill it.
Oh, Bruce. And then there's this moment where she's like, I'm not gonna kill you.
You big dummy.
And then she talks about how she always has kept Callie at arm's length because she feels like doesn't want to have to lose a baby again, right? And this is like a revolution to the audience and as well as to Shauna. Like it kind of does explain, maybe it's a retcon way, a little bit about Callie and her relationship and how awkward it always, because she's always kind of been like, kind of fucking hate you, chopping some carrots.
Yeah.
And Steve took that to mean that's because Callie sucks.
Well, in my defense, Callie does suck.
Callie did suck.
Yeah, she's cool now.
I don't know. They took her. I think we feel more positively about Callie because they stopped giving her screen time.
No.
And maybe absence is making the heart grow fonder.
I like her like being really excited to break the law. Like all you guys had to do was cut me in and I'll help you.
Yeah.
I like it. I really truly do. I think it's fun.
There's still some dumb Callie stuff like she's so excited because she wants to make her mom happy, like the way that she's like, did I do a good job? I was very like, oh yeah, that's totally Callie, she's dumb.
Sure. I'm actually upset we don't get more was it Sebeki? Is that his name? Jeff's last name?
Jeff Sadecki.
Sadecki. Yeah, we don't get more like Sadecki crime family stuff. Like I'm a little sad that all we have is like this major blunder after major blunder instead of anything cool. Like one of the lotion cum was Randy's fault.
Randallberry.
That's Randallberry's bad. But everything else has just been like Shauna messing up left and right with how to handle this situation. Jeff storming the cop in the gym. Hey,
bro.
Tapping him on the shoulder. I didn't kill anybody. What? I wasn't even talking about you.
Spot me.
You made my wife really upset.
Yeah. Anyway, so Misty and this is where we cut to Misty and Lisa at the tank again after this conversation with Shauna and Lottie. Hello?
Hello?
She goes full Gen Z and actually asks them. She puts on her bathing suit, goes in the tank, and it's kind of like a horror sequence for a second. Like the lights are going in and out.
You see like sea lions and dolphins.
Fucking
and
dolphins, yeah.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, we get what Steve referenced earlier, what is perhaps the greatest scene in the history of television. We get Walter in a top hat, Caligula. At first in like this suit, right? Like a Caligula suit. It's very clearly.
Like a mascot suit-esque. Yeah.
But then he takes it off in his dressing room and it becomes like this flamboyant person.
Yes.
And again, I can't stress Walter in a top hat enough. But then she has a conversation with Caligula. And one of the funniest lines of the episode where she asks, are you talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
Where she asks him if she's a murderer. And he said, my name is Caligula after the Roman emperor who was also unjustly accused of heinous acts. Who was not unjustly accused of anything. Which
you're looking at the floor when you should be looking at the magic. We all count on you, Misty.
And she gets so cheered up by that.
Oh my God, I love this scene so good. Oh, it's not even done. What else happens, Chris? What else happens?
Are you talking about the voicemail?
The phone?
Yeah.
The phone tones?
Keep going.
So then I'm talking about when she leaves a voicemail for Walter.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm talking about when she calls him on the phone in the stage and there's like the Morse code for love.
Oh, yes.
Flying in the air between the two, and it makes like a little heart shape around her
I love
face.
that. Like, he doesn't even have any. He's like, I want to tell you something, Misty. And it's like, beep, 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 beep. And like, that's, of course, how they would communicate.
Yeah, Morse code.
Of course they would.
Gotta be.
Because their lines might be bugged. You don't know who's listening.
Well, I did look up what the Morse code was.
Oh, did you? What does it mean?
It means I love you.
That's what he said?
Yep.
That took forever. Morse code is not efficient.
Not at all. Not at all. Oh my God, this scene was so good.
It was really good.
It was like the bravest, most bonkers, off the wall thing the show has done that features people eating a child. Like,
No, yeah. I mean, it was completely out of left field, but also not because it's Misty and you're like supposed to be in Misty's mind.
Yeah. It was very campy, I felt. Also, like, I liked the collage visuals that they had kind of circling Misty while Walter was...
What was the box? I thought
was
that was the transponder for a second.
It was.
Okay.
So it kind of... There's a bunch of different symbols that are part of, I guess, Misty's previous, like, quote-unquote heinous crimes or whatever.
Sure,
but it's just
unjustly
like,
accused.
Yeah. There's a needle, which I can assume is for
Jessica.
There's the emergency box, the transponder. There's the axe she used to chop off Coach Ben's leg. And then there was a set of wings, which I wasn't sure what that was. Ooh, maybe it was Crystal falling off the
couldn't
cliff. Maybe, but there
can
were
you fly, Bobby?
but there were 4 symbols that had like symbolism, and one of them was wings. Which
Wait, are you telling me that these symbols had symbolism?
Symbolically?
yes.
What?
Yes.
Good work, because I thought that's what that box was, but I was
Yeah.
really weirded out by
But
it.
it gave me major Twin Peaks vibes, and I liked that a lot.
You a Twin Peaks fan?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Mulholland Drive?
Who?
The other David Lynch movie? We should watch it.
I don't know.
We'll
I don't
watch
think
it.
I've seen it.
We'll watch it for the show.
Okay.
I hated it, but everybody gives me shit for my lack of love for David. I tried episode 1 of Twin Peaks.
I think we've talked about this before.
It's one of my biggest, like, as a film guy, quote unquote, is I get shit for it a lot. You know, you Twin Peaks fan, Steve?
Nah, I haven't seen it.
Maybe our next show should be Twin Peaks. Right in.
But only the first 2 seasons.
I've seen a couple of David Lynch's work, and he's just not my style.
Not my thing.
But
Typically.
Twin Peaks is so different than I feel like a lot of the other stuff that he's made.
You think it's more accessible?
I don't know. Like, I've tried to watch some other movies of his, and I've never resonated with his films more than I have his show. So
A lot of people love that fucking show. They think it's the best thing since, I don't know, sliced bread even.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was a fun.
Sliced bread is fire.
I mean, yeah, it was a fun show to watch. But anyway, I liked how I got that vibe watching this scene, and a lot of other people did too, because I did I read some articles about this episode, and people were making that same comparison.
Interesting. And if Twin Peaks was this, if it was Christina Ricci in a float tank with Elijah Wood in a top hat,
Chris, do you want me to
watch
put
it.
60 seconds on the board, and we can just let you off the leash, and you can just gush about this scene?
That I saw Christina Ricci getting into a bathing suit, I was like, oh, Chris is gonna have a field day with this.
no. First off, I represent that. First off,
You represent?
I mean, resent that. I would not. I'm not like a creep.
No,
It's like,
no,
You know,
I
it's
know.
like.
For audio listeners, Chris just gestured into space frantically.
I wasn't not a fan. You know.
Yeah.
All right, time up.
Yeah.
I just stuttered a bunch. Yeah, I loved it. It was great for many, many reasons. And then she gets out of the tank and she rushes to the phone where she's allowed to use like the treatment center phone.
Oh, I don't think she was allowed. I think she snuck out to make that call because she wasn't allowed to.
Oh.
I don't think you're allowed to use that phone
I think
for
she was-
personal calls.
Yeah, because that was just like the call in the kitchen, right? It was a kitchen phone.
That's a very Misty thing to do.
Yeah.
And she leaves a top 5 greatest voicemails of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it's so it was kind of sad in a way because it's like she's finally, okay, I don't want to derail the show. I know we're way late on time, but there's a big piece of the fandom that thinks that Walter is out to get Misty, that he's some kind of cop or private investigator.
He said he's her Moriarty.
Well, that's a huge piece of defense for that, sure.
Yeah.
But just in general, his vibe is just like too perfect for her, too nice without like research, right? Like, I think they're taking it up like when he had all the musicals on tape, like he did, in fact, do research on her. And I've always fought against that. I'm like, no, like the best thing for them to do is actually give her someone else who's crazy and let them have a real romance, right? I've never been more convinced that he's probably going to betray her than in the moment where she just wholeheartedly gave herself over to him on this voicemail. And that hurt me in advance because I really don't want to, I hope I'm wrong. I really don't want to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were you guys getting that vibe at all or?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it could go both ways. I haven't really thought about it in the way that you described it.
I think it's more complicated than like he's 100% against her. I think he is working against her to a point, but I think it's from a very, I think there's a happy medium where like both sides are true.
I hope so.
Yeah, where maybe he's working against her to.
I hope it's not as simple as he's a cop or something. That'll piss me off.
No, I don't think that. I think I think it's more like he's working against her in order to maybe like impress her in a way. Because I think he does truly like her.
Yeah, because Moriarty and Sherlock's relationship is complex.
Yes.
It's like Batman
Yeah.
and Joker style. You know?
Yeah. I just had a thought. And maybe I'm reaching too far here, but maybe Walter is out to get her. And part of the way of this betrayal is he's the one who found Adam's body parts.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That was the other part to my being convinced because they do find the body at the end of the episode. And I thought, is that because she left that fucking voicemail where she admitted it? And he like...
He went with it.
They gave him
He was able to figure out where...
I don't know.
Or
Because
maybe he was already looking for it.
Misty's not the
Maybe.
one that buried the body. And somebody as smart as Walter
she
is,
did.
she took the head and the hands. And I thought it was someone else's job to take the torso because the torso can't even be identified, according to Misty. It's only fingerprints and
Right,
teeth.
because she took the head and the hands to...
The incinerator with that old lady's body.
Yeah.
Somebody just has Adam's ashes.
Yes.
I forget who buried the body.
Yeah, I don't remember who was charged with that either, but somebody that doesn't
Probably Shauna.
somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing as much as Misty would, and so Walter would be able to find that lickety split. I don't know, but she leaves this voicemail. She goes all over the place, like he's like, especially at the end. Where she, no, you hang up. No, you hang up.
No, you hang up.
On him. I mean, it was so.
Your grandmother sounds really cool.
I was filled with secondhand embarrassment, which is one of my least favorite things ever.
Yeah.
But also, it was adorable.
I
I just want her to be happy. She's only ever wanted to be loved. And now she
Yeah.
does unreasonable things to get love. Well, I'll grant you that. But I really want her to finally find that.
I will
You know?
grant you that.
Like a murderer.
But who amongst us hasn't done unreasonable things for love? Am I right?
You love, Steve.
I love love.
But she tells him you were right about the thing, which may come back to haunt them. I'm not sure yet. But back in 1996, Misty can't find Crystal's body. What do we think about this? By the way, the snow. I love Yellow
The
Jackets.
snow looks so bad.
It didn't even look
The snow
remotely
looks
like
so
real
bad.
snow.
Yeah.
Come
The
on,
snow looks
production
terrible.
guy, snow guy.
I know this season everything was on a proper set.
Yeah, they built this on a soundstage, yeah.
they built this set in season 1. Everything
It was a real cabin.
Yeah, real cabin in the woods. They were out in the woods.
Which I get. You can't have your actor like digging through real snow.
Yeah,
That gets cold.
Yeah, and snow is unwieldy for continuity and stuff like that. So, like, I get why, but I don't know what they were using, but it
By the way,
wasn't snow.
Shredded like packing peanuts or something.
Robert Rodriguez's tip that he gave me, I don't know if you saw it in the interview, his most off-used like phrase repeated on set is continuity schmontinuity.
He doesn't care about continuity.
Ooh, my producer self is like, oh, cringing
Well, he's
at
like,
that.
he said something like, if people are noticing that, you've got way bigger problems. Like they're not like focusing on the right stuff and engaged with the story.
I don't know. I've seen clips where a jacket will be on and then a jacket will be off.
Yeah. I don't know.
like back
Jacket
to
off?
back clips.
I don't 100% agree with him, but I do agree with the sentiment.
Yeah.
Of like you can't
Yeah.
you can't lose yourself to it. Like the story is first.
Obviously, you can't have somebody like Walter can't just be in a top hat and then not when you do cut back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he meant like the minutia of like, oh, that window was
There's like
slightly
primary
ajar.
continuity and then there's like secondary
Yeah.
continuity. I understand
Like
ignoring
a
secondary.
Starbucks cup in a medieval show will throw you off
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Schmontinuity. But any hoozle, yeah, the snow was bad, but let's ignore that for a second.
I wasn't even going to bring it up until you did.
Dude, I put snow looks fake AF in my note. But Misty can't fight. What do we think about this? Is Misty's dead body in the tunnels?
You mean Kristen's dead body?
I'm sorry. I could never say Misty's dead body ever again. Kristen's dead body in the tunnels, or is she alive?
I have no idea. I don't think she's alive.
Do we think it's the prayer that Lottie said for Crystal that did whatever happened to the body?
Again, I'm kind of lost and don't know what to.
Is it a lost plug?
Is zombie Crystal going to show up in the next episode?
God, I hope so.
No, I thought it would be funny that the body would be literally like 3 feet to the left of where she stops.
Yeah, well, I think that's why they did the crane shot, because it's no, she's looking in the right spot, guys. Well, it's something more sinister.
There was a moment previously where Coach Ben was going through the woods and fell in the snow. And my immediate thought was, oh shit, did he
trip over Crystal?
And then I was like, oh shit, does Misty have to kill Ben because he's wondering why she's in this area?
Yeah, why would Ben be walking around the poopy?
I guess that's true.
He feels like poopy.
This is where I belong.
Poopy.
Put me in a bucket.
I really have no clue. When Kristen's body was gone, I just was like, okay, what? I don't know. I'm we're leaning in. We've wanted to lean into the paranormal, and I feel like we have. But then I feel like recently,
yeah. What are the anti-paranormal folks thinking now? Well, I guess they're just thinking she wasn't dead. I'm
just kind of we've leaned into it, but then I feel like the whole therapy session with Lottie that comes later. I don't know. I really don't know what to think of Kristen's body being gone. I just was like, okay, I don't know. I don't know where she's at.
Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Or a bear took her. I don't know.
That too.
I don't know. It's the wilderness.
Mari and Akila found her first.
That'd be great. Yeah, we don't see Misty come back to the cabin you'll never believe what we found.
It's in the meat shed.
I like the idea. I loved when it first happened. She was digging through the snow. I smiled because I like the idea of her being they're not going to eat my friend, and she's mourning, she's angry, she still feels strangely protective of this person. But then at the moment she finds out she's maybe alive, she's thinking, I gotta kill her. She's going to tell everybody. It's all, you know what I mean? I like that idea of a whiplash of emotions. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's where they're going though. I think there's something a little more supernatural. Maybe there's the body is in what I think are tunnels or something. Maybe I don't know. We'll find out. But she climbs up. She sees Ben at the edge preparing to commit suicide. And she tries multiple tactics, all bad. Yeah. I don't think she's been trained in intervention in this moment whatsoever. Hey,
Misty might be the last person you want to try to have talk you off the ledge.
Raise your hand if you thought Ben was going to jump?
Hands raised.
All three of us.
All hands are raised.
Buzz.
Because especially that it was Misty that found him, I was like, oh, he is going to jump. He just made up his mind as soon as he saw her.
He's like, well, I don't have any second thoughts now.
Well, and I also was like, oh shit, then everybody else is going to think that Misty killed him.
Yes. I was like, oh no, double push, same spot.
Shit.
He just lands on Crystal.
Also,
there it is.
Adding to her trauma again, she didn't mean to kill Crystal, or maybe she, maybe some speculation.
No, she didn't. Crystal backed up.
She didn't mean to kill her. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you imagine having 2 deaths in the same spot?
And the baby, that's 3.
Yeah. So that would have been super traumatic for her.
She's like, I'm never pooping again.
Never.
PTSD.
Yeah, she tries bargaining with him at first, you can't do this, we need you. Then she tries insulting him, if you die, I'm going to tell him all sorts of horrible lies about you. When we
got Shauna pregnant.
Yeah,
you got Shauna pregnant, and we did it, and all this stuff,
and we're going to eat you.
Yeah. And then she says, and I'll tell the world that you're gay, and then he turns to her and says, do it, because he.
And I thought he was in that moment going to jump, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. She breaks down completely and starts weeping.
Yeah, she starts weeping. And at this point, and I think this is genuine because I think you can make the argument that this is Misty kind of manipulating, but I think it's genuine where she's like, I tried so hard to keep the baby alive. Mm-hmm. I tried and I couldn't do it. Please don't. I can't have another death on my hands.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of gets him to stop. because he sees that she is hurting so much.
Yeah, he's going to cause her pain by doing this. And I do think this is a huge step for the character of Misty to like have some like real true empathy, not just I love this character, this chick's crazy, this is awesome, but in a way of like she's such a true caring person who's just extremely bad at coping with her desire to be loved and needed. But yeah, and she tells him she's going to eat him.
That high calorie butt.
That high calorie butt meat first. That's what I'm getting. That ass. And like he would, I don't care, Misty. And it's dangerous, you know, because it's like I was freaking out because he's only got one leg. Let's be real.
Yeah, a stiff breeze could have like made that
one leg, icy cliff. I mean, I don't do well with heights. I don't know how you guys are, but like if I hike if I hike in Arizona or something, there's always like a group of guys and half of them will like do the thing where they put their toes right up against the edge and like look down.
Like look up.
I'm always the guy 15 feet back, getting really sweaty just watching them
Arms
doing
crossed.
it. Yeah, like I'm gonna miss you.
Are you one of the people, if you do have to look over the edge, you lie completely on your front?
I just don't.
Oh, okay.
And that's funny because I wasn't like that. Like as a teenager, I was really, I don't know what the word is, but like
adrenaline junkie?
Adventurous. Yeah, but like for attention. I didn't actually want to do it. I wanted people to like me. And so if we went to like, I've told the story before about cliff jumping in southern Kentucky at this railroad bridge that everybody jumps off of. And it's got to be a good 60, 70 feet. And I was just like instantly, boom, right? Did that stuff all the time. But now, ever since I got sober in my adult life, I'm just like acutely aware of danger and things that can happen.
Sure.
Very scary. So I couldn't believe he was just chilling there. Very upsetting. Very upsetting. But he steps back and we can presume that he gets back safely because that's the last time that we see him so far. But I wonder what they're going to do with this character now because I thought the arc of the season was leading to his suicide for a moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay with that. I was like, oh, that's clever writing. Like they've been building up to this and then they're going to eat him and that's going to set him fully on cannibal mode.
I don't know. Like if it just led up to him killing himself, I feel like that would have been like, okay, yeah, we got there. Why did it take 9 episodes to get there? I like the idea that they're adding this wrinkle of like maybe he changes his mind, he finds a purpose, and then they kill him and eat him. Like that's even more tragic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Twist the knife.
Yeah.
But back in 2021, Thaisa wanders at night. She removes her wedding ring and an offering to the spirit on like, she somehow immediately finds Lottie's new altar. And then Van's there drinking tequila because she foraged for it in the trunk, watching her do this, like making offerings to the dirt again. You know, I don't know how you want to take this scene, but then they kiss hard.
Yeah,
Madison,
it's been building.
I waxed about Christina Ricci.
Should we put 60 seconds on the board for Madison right now?
How are you feeling?
I was glued to the TV. I was like, yes,
They went
finally.
At it.
Yeah, they did. I don't know. It was just very, I was like, I had seen that coming. Like I knew that there was going to be a moment where they just come together and I thought it was very funny. Like the moment Ty took her wedding ring off is when it happened. I was like kind of, I don't know, low ball guess. I don't know. I just was like, okay, the moment she takes her ring off is now she's available for Van, you know?
Yeah, the wife who's in the hospital.
Right.
In a coma.
But no, I liked watching them kiss.
Yes.
Our thoughts go out to Simone. We really hope she makes a full recovery. But with that being said, I'm going to label this scene a very 5 out of 5. Let them fucks.
Yes.
But Thaisa pulls back, right? And she's got things to figure out. And Van says she doesn't have time, and I can't wait for you. Why?
I wouldn't want you to wait for me. No, I literally don't have time.
No, literally, I can't.
I just
gonna
have
die.
months.
Yeah, we don't know what kind of cancer she has, but she says, you know, the kind where they say, oh, I got the good kind of cancer, or at least they caught it early. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I have months. And Thaisa is dumbfounded and upset by this.
Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know you, dude. Why would I tell you?
Yeah, it's been years
I love
since
this scene.
Yeah, it's been years since we've
message
connected.
you on Facebook, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. And Van is like, yeah, you're fully married. Like, why would I reach out and, you know, and Ty is kind of like, I mean, we have history together. I don't know. Ty was trying to like get on Van for not saying anything to her sooner. And Van was like, why the fuck would I say anything?
Yeah, Thais is totally in the right. Van is totally in the right
Yeah,
for this.
yeah.
Like if I called my girlfriend from high school and was
Right.
like, I got COVID, you know,
You might want to get yourself checked out.
she'd be like, hello?
Who is this?
Right.
It's super weird.
Chris?
Super weird.
The kid with long hair?
Yeah, that is a thing. And then we cut to Lottie with her psychiatrist, quote unquote. We finally see her face again because after I swear in episode 6 they did like a villain from Inspector Gadget thing and didn't show her face.
Yeah.
Hello, Gadget.
And they was just petting a cat. It was super random. And
That was the cat.
Yeah, keep going.
At the end of Inspector Gadget, they would fly away. Next time, Gadget, and then the cat would go.
Are you Doja Cat from the Met Gala?
I wish he was Doja Cat.
Don't tell the people my secret, Madison.
And then she's like egging, like worst psychiatrist of all time until we find out what we find out. I was thinking terrible. She's just like egging her on to all of her worst instincts, right? Like, yeah, embrace that deep and primal feeling she hasn't felt. And, you know, and she tells her that feeling is wonderful.
Kill them all.
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point she's about to say initiate Order 66.
That would have been so funny if her therapist is just like Ian McDermott from Star Wars. Like,
When it cut to her
let your hate
in a wig.
through you. Your hate has made you powerful. Strike me down with it.
Yeah, she tells the psychiatrist like she's been having these hallucinations again and she's sacrificing things to the altar again. And then the therapist is like, good.
Good. You shall be known as.
But she's like, hey, when you're in this mode, you are your truest, most authentic self. And she kind of looks horrified to be hearing this advice. And then we pan over to the psychiatrist again. And this time it's the Antler Queen with like a pencil and pen. Tell us about your mother.
Yeah, I want to note that like the same way that they presented Paul, were kind of like the screen, like the
flicker
red,
thing.
Yeah, the red line. It's the same effect with the Antler Queen. And
Yeah.
I wonder if that plays into like the hallucinating part. I mean, I guess obviously because the psychiatrist is not real.
Yeah, so I guess we're led to believe that at least the last three, I think, visits we've seen with psychiatrists have not happened. She's hallucinated them and she's been speaking to the spirit. Or if you're one of the people that doesn't believe there's anything supernatural, then
Just herself.
her schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And we're out of time.
Yeah, I'll bill you.
Do some exercises, work on yourself, get a vision board. You know this.
I do love, I think the dialogue in this episode is a brilliant 99% of the time. And there's a line here from the Antler Queen. I forget what prompts it from Lottie, but she's basically upset about the things that, okay, she's like, yeah, but people get hurt. Because she says that this is your truest self. And she's like, people literally die when I do this shit. And she says, does a hunt that has no violence feed anyone?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, if I was like an evil spirit and I dropped shit like that.
If that was your therapist and they said that, the Antler Queen said that to you, Chris, I know you'd be like, writing that one down.
Oh, 100%. That
use it later.
would be
Note.
right under the, people's, my phone leaves me, beholden to other people's priorities. It'd be right under that. Does a hunt that has no violence feed anyone? I don't think so. That is the Antler Queen equivalent of you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? You can't without breaking a few hobbies.
Agreed.
And then Natalie has them gather again in a way that's very un-Natalie like. Let's all gather around and talk about what we've learned.
Talk about our feelings.
It's so not Natalie, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, we're not the type of people to buy into bullshit typically. And I wrote LOL. Are you not the type? Did you not all like within months start a deeply established religion in the woods?
Right.
Chris, that was real.
Seriously.
True.
Praise the wilderness.
And they're all drunk except Natalie. They've been
Yeah.
swigging the tequila that Van found. And Van offers it to Nat, which I thought was rude.
I thought this scene was very rude to Nat specifically.
Yeah.
Like they all make this whole series, they make so many catty comments to Nat about like, oh hey drunkie. Or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then they're like, no, quit being a square, Natalie. We're doing
Right.
shots.
Right.
Like I was kind of like, come on, ladies. Nat's clearly like, I don't believe this Nat is Natalie either, but clearly she's in a better spot than
Right.
she was.
Right. And they're just kind of hovering over with the alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, and then, like once Lottie joins, like she has her own like flight set and everything.
Like a whole crate
Yeah.
of just booze.
Oh, we're partying. Bring out the kilo, Todd. Oh, what's up, ladies?
She has like a coke nail. Like,
But initially, she's like, she wants them all to go home because she just realized
yes.
I've been imagining my therapy sessions.
She's like,
Something
you
is
guys need
not
to
right.
go. I think I'm going to eat somebody. Pretty sure. But then they're like, no, get drunk with us. And she's like, okay. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And Natalie asks Misty about Walter. They try to like have some girl talk. And then Misty's like, Natalie, fuck Kevin. And then I think Sean is like, we know that one already. They want some like real hot goss.
Misty watched.
Yeah.
I didn't watch those parts.
And then Van's face.
She watched some parts.
Right.
Let's not talk about that.
Which
right?
parts did she watch?
Right.
And then Natalie starts to say, or Misty starts to say that first summer, and then they cut her off like, hey, we don't want to talk about that shit. But then Natalie's like, we're going to talk about some of that shit. And they're like, oh, okay, since it's Natalie, it's fine. But she says, how much do you guys remember? And they all kind of talk about, I thought Shauna was going to be like all of it because I wrote it down, never told you guys, but she doesn't. She's just like, whatever I don't remember, I don't want to know.
Yeah. And then Lottie kind of goes on this tangent of like, well, repression, because they talk about how most of it is repressed or some of it is
Stuffed down.
Yeah. And Lottie says, well, the repression will show its way. It will show through in other ways. And to me, this conversation was a lot more important than, I think this is going to be a potential plot point, for the next episode. But to me, it seems like they're building it up to be that maybe the adult versions of themselves don't remember a lot of what happened in the forest, because I feel like a scene that happens later between Shauna and Lottie is a very pinnacle one that is not brought up very much, like amongst the group.
Yeah,
you know?
you think if that happened in the forest and they remembered that, they wouldn't be like, let's go
have some
I'm
drinks
so happy
together.
you guys are here. Let's get shots.
Yeah.
Let's do mushrooms. What could happen?
Yeah, what could happen?
Yeah. So it was just interesting that Nat wanted to ask them, what all do you guys remember?
Yeah, they planted the seed that maybe they don't remember everything there.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that's hugely important. And during that scene, Thaisa suggests that she knows a specialist at Johns Hopkins to Van, who kind of rejects her help immediately. And then they dance to a fire-ass song that we'll talk about soon, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of, is that the one that's Misty singing in 1996?
Misty does hum that song, yeah.
It's the same song, right?
That sets Shauna off.
There's kind of an auditory match cut, and then Shauna yells at Misty for humming the song, and she punches Misty. And this is where it cuts back and forth between timelines very quickly. It starts snowing in 2021, and they're having a great time. In 1996, she screams at Misty, "You killed my baby." And then she screams at everybody, "Y'all ate my baby." And then she bites Van. So she's just like rapidly taking it out on everybody, right? And Lottie's just staring at her and with empathy.
She kind of like steps in between.
Yeah, she protects Misty.
Yeah.
I will be the punching bag.
I love this line from Lottie because I want to know what it means, but also I have a feeling it goes back to what we discussed earlier, where she's like, "Travis, take Javi in the bedroom. Don't let the boy watch."
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't want him to have to see this.
Again, I'm just
We
like,
can't afford that actor. That actor's hours is up. We can't have him shooting anymore. We need a reason for him not to be in this scene.
oh man.
That, and I don't even think it's that. I think it was supposed to lend like weight to the darkness of this scene, and it's the only thing they could think of. Were they going to take Nugget out?
Or
Don't
I
let
was gonna-
Nugget see.
or I
Don't
was
let
gonna
Nugget
say,
watch.
Like Javi mentioned, he had a friend help him or something like that. Is that friend Lottie, or like?
Well, that's what they were. It could be Thaisa or like
Right.
Sleepy Time Ty. I think it's another spirit.
I think it is too. But I was like, why would Lottie be so worried about Javi seeing what is to come?
Yeah, because what does happen is Lottie kind of puts her hands behind her back and lets Shauna get all of her rage out by beating the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
Let it
never
out.
saw that shit coming.
Yeah.
Let it out. Beats the shit out of Lottie.
And it's cut through. We listen to the song. The adults are like partying and like dancing.
Yeah,
around
they're like
fire
howling
and-
even at one point.
Yeah, they're just having a great old time, and then it's cutting to young Shauna just pummeling Lottie into a bloody pulp on the ground.
She backhands the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
And front hands.
And front hands.
And then, like, she should be dead. Lottie should be dead.
I thought she was for a second. And then I was like, whoa, what weird shit is this? Like, are they going to resurrect her? Like, is the wilderness going to resurrect her? It was just, I thought she was dead.
Yeah,
and there's Butters.
There was that really important moment where Shauna finishes the beating and then realizes, like, oh, she doesn't look good. But she doesn't care. She's like, Lottie,
I hated this.
You okay?
Yeah.
Lottie. And then as soon as Lottie starts breathing and she's like, all right, cool, she's alive. And, like, just storms off.
Right.
I hated this so much. I liked the beating because I was like shocking in the way that the show is supposed to be.
It was like shock value, but I was
the pain.
like,
yeah. But at the end, and I love Sophie Nilles to death. She's a genius. But like the way that they did this scene where it's like, Lottie, I hurt you too much. And then she's like so exasperated. Like you just beat
pummeled
someone
the shit out of somebody
in a way that I don't even think you would have the strength to do. Like that's very painful for your hands and everything, right? Like, but yeah, she's gonna have broken cheekbones. Like this is a whole thing. And everybody, I guess, is so beholden to Lottie's power that they're not going to intervene because Lottie said it's okay. That's fine. I'm with you there. But just the fact that Shauna was like, she like rolled her eyes like, oh, you're doing your Lottie shit all bloody. Like, what is going on right now? What do you mean? Like, she should have been horrified at herself. She should have like, that should have been played so much differently.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with you on that because like Shauna looks at Lottie and has a lot of resentment because of the vision she had last week and also because of how weird she's been about like, oh, it's going to be a boy, like getting your hopes up. So she's really, really angry. And at this point, I don't know if Shauna really cares about anybody else. But she cares enough to be like, are you dead? Oh, good. Like, oh, and I almost kind of see it as like, of course you're not. You're fucking Lottie. Of course you're not dead.
interesting.
And like she's just mad, like she wanted to fucking kill somebody, and she's upset that the person she targeted didn't actually get killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also like,
And she has witnessed Jackie die and she's like eating people. So I guess she's not in the same headspace as like I would think a person would be in. But I just think inflicting that amount of pain on somebody is extremely difficult. And I wouldn't think Shauna would be capable of that with such
I just want to know why no one stopped her. Like
But
Ty,
Lottie told him not to.
I guess,
It's the power
but
she wields.
still.
But I feel like Nat would have stopped her.
Nat or Ty.
She was
Or
close.
Ty.
She like grabbed her mullet. I'm like,
My security mullet.
that great mullet.
I don't know, man.
But for shock value, I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
Yeah, I was in. And she walks out into the snow and like,
Bloody
that's
hands.
it
Yeah.
there. That's it.
But then the adults are partying around the fire, and Shauna, your husband has an emergency call for you. She picks up the phone. It's Jeff, and let's give Jeff some credit here because Jeff's
being coy?
He's being coy. He's like, Shauna, I have some terrible news. You know that guy that you had an accident with your car who died? I think they found his body.
Or like he's dead, I guess, because I think they found his remains.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know if his place is bugged, you know.
How do they know it's Adam? There's no feet or hands, or there's no there's no feet.
Well, so
there's no head or hands.
I couldn't see what the news, like, because you see the TV behind him.
Yeah.
I can't read like the
Yeah.
news chyron, but maybe it's just like they found a body and Jeff just knows that's
Well,
the body.
he also had tattoos on his back, which are identifiable pieces on a person. So he could have they
He had
could have
tattoos on his back.
Yeah, remember when they were making love in the hotel and they showed clearly I'm the only one that pays attention, but he has tattoos
tats.
on his back, which is an oversight on Misty, if I must say.
For sure, should have
Yeah.
peeled them off. You were paying a lot of attention to that love scene there, Madison.
I always do.
Remember all that? He's got like
Always do.
I always
He's got like
do.
an above average amount of ass hair, and I just,
Not
guys.
the ass hair.
Am I wrong?
I know Shauna chopped that shit up. She went right down the.
Always wanted to do this.
Near.
And that's the end of the episode. That's all we get is like stakes are rising. I think they're going to kill Jay.
Oh, I think so
Oh,
too.
really? You think
Well, here
so?
let's do this now because we do have some listener emails that I think that touch a little bit on this. The first one comes from Kate R.
Hi, Kate.
Kate writes, well, she wrote a bunch of stuff, but then I kind of skipped to this part. Adam died last season around the same time Jackie did. I have been thinking maybe an adult death will be on the cards in the season finale. Surely they wouldn't have excitement in one timeline and a slow-moving storyline in the other. I noticed they used the song Lightning Crashes by Live, and the lyrics tell a very interesting story. The part where they say, quote, "Oh, now feel it coming back, like a rolling thunder chasing the wind, forces pulling from the center of Earth again, I can feel it. Is this a subtle hint? The adult timeline will draw a queen card like they have hinted the young timeline that will choose their next victim. They can't stay away from the wilderness and will continue to kill as if the wilderness wants all of them to be sacrifices." Another theory from the song's meaning is that there is a new mother to an old mother's life ending to the beginning of a new life. Does this give a hint that adult Shauna may be on the chopping block? Could possibly be the only way for the wilderness to be happy? Will Jeff and Callie have to start a new life under what Shauna has done? She continues and adds, from an Aussie listener who has been walking around saying, "Now's Kyle," constantly trying to see if that's what we actually sound like. So that's from Kate. But yeah, like maybe they are like kind of what you're talking about. They're hinting that there's going to be another sacrifice in the adult timeline, and it could be Jay to like get them off the trail of Shauna's wrongdoing.
I just don't see how that would be plausible in the circumstances that, he's hot on Adam's case. They're broadcasting it like he's going to be in a limelight situation of like talking to the public. And, I'm assuming they're going to bring Shauna in for his murder. So I don't know how they would have an opportunity to do it and also make it seem like it wasn't them.
I think they've set it up to where my thinking is Jay is such a maverick. He's already proven that he's willing to go way above and beyond, like by just like dating Callie and shit under Kevin's like strict don't do that, right? So I could see a situation where
I have a strict don't do that.
Yes. I could see a situation where Jay goes way above and beyond and is therefore out of the rules of the police alone and unsafely, like alone with Shauna, or maybe even Jeff or Callie might be the ones that have to do it. I wouldn't put it past Callie having to kill him.
Or maybe he goes to the wellness center.
Maybe. And he's just by himself, mavericking it up, and he has irrefutable evidence that is Forage? Damning. And so in that moment, they panic and kill him or something,
What'd you say?
Do you think he picks Forage or like self-care?
He would definitely pick Forage.
Definitely.
Because he wants to be a little clue finder boy.
How's that go again?
A little clue finder boy. That's what he is. I don't know. That's just one thing. I do think, like last season, there is always a death in each timeline so far. And we only have one season to go by, right? But we had Adam at the same time as Jackie. So it's like, I think there has to be a climax, if you will, on each timeline. Because they've kind of put themselves in that situation where it's two separate stories almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another email this is actually from our Discord. Daisy JT on Discord writes, I think Walter has something to do with Adam's body being found at the end of the episode. I can see a scenario where after being rejected by Misty, he sees her friends as a distraction to him getting her full attention. Adam's body being found would potentially remove some of them from her life. He could potentially then act the hero and help them get out of it, not dissimilar to Misty destroying the plane boxes and being needed by her teammates. Perhaps she then finds out and it creates a mirror scenario of where Misty and Crystal found themselves in the last episode. Alternatively, it creates a detective-villain dynamic circling back to the Sherlock-Moriarty relationship he previously mentioned, where he is causing issues for Misty. And that's the message from Daisy.
Nothing to add. I mean, that's very plausible.
Very plausible. I like that a lot, yeah.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
Any other emails or anything you want to read?
We do, but I want to do it last.
Okay,
cool.
Let's move into our choice cuts then, shall we?
Cuts.
Our top 3 favorite moments of the episode. Madison, let's start it off with you. Your number 3.
Mine are out of order. Hold on. Sorry.
Steve, let's start off with you.
Oh, no.
Number 3.
It's me. Okay, so my number 3 is the campfire beating. I just really liked the cinematography and the way it was edited, and the song choice was very, very poignant, and it just fit the mood really well. And overall that's and it's just nice to see these women together, like as their adult forms. Like there's something about getting this band together that makes me feel happy and excited and interested in what's coming next, because now that they're together, the wilderness is more powerful now. I guess how is that going to manifest itself? I'm excited. And if they do stuff like this, I don't know, I eat this type of shit up, this type of editing.
Punching or the drinking?
Yes, all of it. So that's my number 3.
Madison, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Misty trying to stop Coach Ben from jumping.
Great moment.
Great moment. I really enjoyed Samantha Hanratty's performance. Also, Steven Kruger, who plays Coach Ben. It was a very emotional scene between the two of them. And it's been a minute since they've had screen time alone together. So I liked kind of having them back together and it being a very emotional driven scene.
Great choice. My number 3 is Shauna and the Goat. Specifically when it all kind of comes to a head and she has this breakthrough, like the treatment's actually working about herself and Callie. It may be a retcon, sure, but I think it's very effective in kind of explaining a lot about her character and things that kind of didn't add up. It adds a lot of depth and especially delivered through Melanie Linsky, who is a genius at playing these characters that are very soft and intentional, but also have a darkness to them, which is Shauna to a T, especially adult Shauna. And in this moment, I think we got like because she's so sweet to the goat, right? Like, but like also you're gonna make me stab it, because she will, right? Like she has many times, and so I don't know. It's just everything that I loved, and especially how much I hated her character in episode 6. It was so nice to get more of the Shauna that I've come to love. That's my number 3. Steve, you're number 2.
My number 2 is really quickly. I just love the moment where Van tells Thaisa that she is sick with cancer. I love Lauren Ambrose. I love Tawny Cypress. I love the two of them together. Let them fuck. That is why it's my number 2.
Madison,
Amazing.
you're number 2.
My number 2 is Steve's number 3, which is all of them in the adult timeline, hanging out, partying like it's old time. They all looked like they were happy for once, being together in this very weird circumstance. And also the music choice for this scene, very awesome, very great. So that's my number 2.
Speaking of music, my number 2 is just dumb as hell. It's the opening. Because I'm a sucker for something in the way needle drop every time. And I think coming off of where the last episode left us, which was in a very devastated emotional space, I think it was a great way to open and just it did a lot of heavy lifting for way more than a last time on, more than a recap could have done. Just get me in that space was that song. I think it was very well done. So that's my number 2. Steve, your favorite moment of episode 7.
I gotta ask you guys, is there any scenario where our number 1 isn't the same for all 3 of us? I'm just gonna say one word. You all can agree with me if I'm wrong, but my number 1, and I suspect your all's number 1, is none other than Caligula.
Yes. Absolutely.
So good.
Hands down. That scene is so good. I love a good musical. I love a good Misty. I love a good Walter. I love a good bird named Caligula.
I like float tanks.
I like float tanks.
Have either of you ever been in one?
No.
I've not either, by the way.
No.
I'm not leading you anywhere.
No, I don't think I have.
We should do one for the episode.
I've
We'll all go
drawn
to float
a
tank.
We're in the pool. There's the camera above us.
No, like the whole episode. We don't podcast in there. I'm just saying we could go to
That was my thought immediately. Oh, we're going to do the podcast in the pool.
we could go to the
What an
float
audio
tanks.
nightmare.
Oh man. Now I'm just thinking like how we could pull that off.
Who has a pool?
Camera on the top.
I just get green screens and I'll just key in like water behind us and I'll get some lights to make the shimmer.
We all dress up with one pieces on.
We've
I'm
got
wearing
like the
flippers.
tanning goggles on.
Yeah.
I want to wear a one piece. Can I call it a onesie? Because that's what I almost did.
No.
But
We got a finale idea now. Last year was Misty Wigs. This year, onesies.
So just
And-
bring us to buzzworthy performances.
Honeycombs.
honeycombs.
Oh,
Yeah.
honey.
Of which I have none because we've already mentioned Live and Nirvana. So
So yeah, I just have the music. That was Madison. You throw them out.
I have Josh and you between Misty and Shauna. They say, we're just joshing.
Just joshing.
is that not cool anymore?
I mean, it is, but I feel like it was very
An antiquated.
That was
Very
cooler
slang.
back in
very,
the day.
very prominent in the 90s, I feel.
Oh, by the way, I hate to interrupt, but somebody, I think it was an email, might have been a comment on my TikTok. I think it was a comment on my TikTok. The episode where Crystal dies, they said, no way in hell Misty would have said bestie in 1996. She would have said BFF or something like bestie's a current term. So they thought that was a little anachronistic.
I'm sure the current viewers did not make that connection at
Misty just invented it.
all.
right then and there.
Misty is the trendsetter.
They also, because Madison wasn't here, she probably knows this. I don't know why. I just feel like you do. when staying alive is something they teach you to sing for CPR.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I didn't know that either until after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying alive.
I
just thought you just
know
love that
that.
song.
I knew you would. That's what I'm saying.
I was a lifeguard. That was my first job. So
Saving lives.
Saving lives.
Oh, lifeguarding. That's what you said.
Lifeguarding.
Wow.
Not all heroes.
So you already
wear
have the
life
one,
jackets.
the onesie.
It's
Do you have
been,
like a
it's
red
been
one
a
with a white
while.
cross
It's
on
been
it?
a while. I want to say that I have no clue where it's at. I think it's gone.
You lost your onesie?
Yes.
Dang.
And then I have the other Easter egg I have is the lip phone. That was in
the dream.
Yeah, and I want to say it's in reference from like her room because she has that same phone from her bedroom as a child.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good pull.
Good catch.
And then that's the only thing I have for Honeycombs. The rest is music.
That brings us to our buzz.
Was the music? We got
Oh, sorry.
Something Away by Nirvana.
Yeah.
We already talked about Lightning Crashes by Live.
Yeah.
There's two Florence and
two.
the Machine songs in this episode. There is Free by
What a week
Florence
for
and the
her.
Machine. Yeah, right. And Dream Girl Evil is also in there.
She was
Yeah.
in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie.
Yeah.
Dog
Dog Days of Summer.
Yeah. Dog Days of...
The Florenaissance.
Oh.
Florence, I like that. Then
Ooh.
also Sneaker Pump 6 by The Underground. Is that?
Oh, I
called-
didn't catch that.
Yeah. So those are the
Nice.
songs.
Cool.
Yeah.
So buzz performance.
Buzz.
Bez.
Now, I predict, I don't know, Steve's always a fucking wild card, man. You never know. He can
Yeah,
pick whatever.
you said that you think you know what mine
I
is.
think you're going Lauren Ambrose.
Wow.
Ooh.
Are you not?
No, I'm not.
Really?
Yeah.
That hurts my feelings.
You thought you knew Madison, you fool.
I mean, I think it's fair to...
Did we choose the same one then?
We might have.
I don't know if we did.
Do we want to say it at the same time?
No, because then if it's different things, it'll make me feel bad.
Okay. We don't have to.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Samantha Handready,
Yes! I'm so happy we did the thing. That was worth
then-
it. Steve, what'd you pick?
Steve?
I wrote Misty's.
Misty's nice.
Yes.
Nice.
You picking both?
Picking both.
I love it.
I'm
Heck
being
yeah.
greedy this week. I want both of them
Do
because
it.
they both crushed.
I'm surprised you didn't say Caligula or something
agree.
wild.
Oh man, it could have been.
Well, speaking of, the actor who plays Caligula is, in fact, John Cameron Mitchell. I just wanted to give the nod to him.
Credit where
for-
credit's due.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought he did a very
Slay?
good job.
Was it a sleigh?
It's a sleigh. Caligula sleigh.
Caligula sleigh.
Caligula slay.
And then I will say honorable mention to Steven Kruger, who plays Coach Ben, because I feel like he's been going through the ringer.
Yeah, that's true. And we never
And-
shine love on Coach Ben.
Exactly. So I think, but
Fair.
the reason I chose Samantha Handready is because of the scene from being on top of the cliff
Mm-hmm.
with Steven Kruger, and so I think it's only fair to give the acknowledgement to the opposing actor
Yeah,
that
the
was
scene
in that
partner,
scene.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the most emotion I felt in a while was that scene. Especially coming from somebody
Yeah.
who doesn't exhibit a ton of like genuine emotion as a character. So it's just like extra powerful, I think.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you got for us? What's popping? You look like you're a little devious over there.
So I'm going back to the last email. I think we can end on this.
Okay.
But if you got, so Lauren wrote in. She wrote in last week. But
Where
she
did you
wrote
write
Ambrose?
into?
Lauren
to
Ambrose
the
wrote
email at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. It was not Lauren Ambrose, unfortunately. I wish it was.
Darn it.
But Lauren brought attention to the phone number for Lottie's Wellness Center that you can see in the background of this episode. And she was nice enough to say, hey, call this number. It's a treat. And I did call this number, but I thought it would be nice to call it on air so everybody can hear what it is.
Okay.
So we're going to do it. That number, if you guys want to try it on your own, it's
Why am I nervous?
607-478
You have?
It's
and
scary.
1033. Let's call it right now. Oh, here we go.
You've reached Sunshine Honey's wellness community, proudly located at the former site of Camp Green Pine in majestic northern. It's not real. Do you ever wonder where you are?
Ooh.
Are you somewhere feeling lonely, wandering between the who and the when, or flirting with the why? If so, hello. We are here and ready to believe you.
We're ready to believe you.
We're still here and we're still listening. Don't be afraid to say the words that move the winds. We'll hear you if you hear us.
So that's what you get. You get a creepy message. We'll hear you if you hear us. What do you guys think about that?
Funny, that's my dial tone.
Yeah, I just thought it kind of reminded me of like a horror game kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be playing while you're like prowling the lab with like 2 shotgun shells left, and it would be upsetting.
Can I ask, is the phone number in association with the Yellow Jacket show? Like, is that a planted phone number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the background of I think when they're all together about to get their therapy assignments.
I noticed the phone number. I didn't even think to call it.
Yeah,
But
anytime they show a whole phone number in a show, especially on like a mystery show.
sure.
But I think they can't do that unless they own the number, and so it's always going to be show related goodies.
It sounded like
Lottie?
Lottie.
You
yeah.
think so?
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was the actress or
So
not.
I think
it
it
was.
starts off as a voicemail for the wellness center, then it has that weird electrical cut, and then it becomes Lottie telling you about, hey,
It's the same electrical cut. Do you think that happens when they're showing that something isn't real?
possibly.
the code.
Was this not real?
Did we just hallucinate that?
Guys, what's
gosh.
real? What's not real?
I don't know.
I don't know, but that was creepy as fuck.
Yeah, they did a good job of not being too hokey there, but also being pretty damn creepy. So that's a fun little Easter egg. It's not as cool as when we called Argyle's Pizza Shop.
Yeah.
Hey guys, try
guys.
before you deny. Man.
Good one.
Heard you're into a lot of spooky shit nowadays, but we'll be back soon. I guess Stranger Things is a little spooky, but
Just a little.
I don't know, man. I'm
Just
high.
a little spoopy.
Well, thanks for tuning in this week. I hope you loved episode 7. We've only got 2 episodes left for all that we know. And yeah, we'll be enjoying them. Things are about to ramp up. But thanks always for listening. We love you. That's all the time we have for right now. My name is Chris.
My name is Madison.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things. Happy streaming.
It's gonna be May. And in this month of May, we want to give a special shout out to the patrons that are brand new to the Stream Fiends family. This first person isn't brand new, but they have upgraded their tier to the highest possible tier. And that is the K-Stu patron saint of Streaming Things. And that is none other than Will Nash. Thank you, Will, for your patronage. In the Try Before You Deny producers tier, we want to welcome Alan Tomlinson. Hello, Alan. Thanks for joining. In the Marty B VIP producers tier, we want to thank Christian Louise, Kate Russell, Gabriella Balin, and Rachel B. Thank you all so much for being in the Nina with Dr. Marty B. In the Chocolate Pudding producer section, we want to welcome Alyssa Haley, Karis Brister, Echo Romeo Oscar, Jason Richards, Harry and Charmaine, Chelsea Agunde, Nomad Props, David Gauthier, probably mispronouncing all of these, Christian Pancal, Kelly Camp, Nathan Fisher, Izzy Drawing Wolf, and Mary Phillips. Thank you all for joining the Chocolate Pudding tier. Hope you enjoy those bonus episodes. And in the Friends Don't Lie producer section, we want to thank Serena Singh, K.L. Morton, Tony T. Is that Tony time? We'll never know. Ronan, and Mike Oxlong. Thank you all so much for keeping the lights on over here at Streaming Things. We love you so much dearly, and we appreciate your patronage so much in this month of May.